Welcome back to Straight Facts on Friday. I'm joined by Dan Lawless. I have Don with me in the house. Plus, Staffy is joining us at some point. I think, like me, celebrating a massive comeback and a massive win today. You know, Man United played basically a country in Hong Kong. So proud of the performance. I think he's still off celebrating that. What are you laughing at? We've got to big it up because when we lost the other day, it was the end of the world. We can't have it both ways. Can we, my little friends?
I knew that's what you was doing when you tweeted out, like, "Oh yeah, great goal, 1-1." List. I knew you was referring to the All-Star.
You know what's so funny, Lewis? This guy was quiet when they were losing. As soon as they came back,
no, actually, I did tweet. I tweeted when we conceded as well. I'm talking about
in the group chat. I didn't see you.
Yeah. Well, no, because I like to let people like show their bums. Because Sam was the funniest, and he thinks I'm rattled. It's not. I'm laughing. Or you're losing to Hong Kong. I can't. Ha 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 ha. You know, like I can't. Like he's some 18-year-old Californian working in a Starbucks. Oh my god, I can't. And I'm like, we score a goal. I'm like, yes, it's Hong Kong. It's like, bruv, I'm literally mocking you for taking it seriously. Viewers, we've got loads to talk about today, though. Arsenal agreeing personal terms for Benjamin Sesko. Gyokeres to Man United reported as on. Where will he end up, though, Gyokeres? With some really interesting news today that Delap is the #1 priority for Chelsea. Could that change? £109 million bid in from Liverpool for Florian Wirtz. That will be a record bid by an English team. And Bruno Fernandes, we talk about breaking records. According to Fabrizio Romano, Al-Hilal are willing to pay Man United whatever price they demand for the signature of Bruno Fernandes. And that is our starting story today. And that's not a shame that Staffy's not here, but if he misses it, we're not gonna go backwards. You got to get here on time. But there's talk of it being 80 million. There has been talk that it could go up to as much as 100 to 110 million pound. Let's just sit in the middle and say 100 million. Let's sit somewhere in the middle of this. Should Man United be accepting this bid and parting ways with Bruno Fernandes? What are you saying, Don?
Yes, and yes, man. I think that will be a substantial amount that you can add to the likes of Garnacho being sold, the likes of Rashford being sold. Mainu potentially, he could be sold as well. That's more straight profit right there, bro. You know what I'm saying? And you can bring in with 100 million, if you're quite shrewd with it, you could potentially even bring in 3 players, right? Realistically, it'll probably be 2 players you can bring in. For example, you might go get an Eze, you might go get a Morgan Gibbs-White, and then you can also bring in another attacker. You know what I'm saying? Because I think the focus for United right now, they need to focus on bringing in another midfielder, you know, and as well as that, bro, bringing in another attacker, bro. If you want to talk about wing backs, you know, the left wing back position, you haven't really got anyone there right now, have you? Is Dogu, what side does Dogu play on again?
The left.
Left wing back, sorry. Right wing back, you ain't got anyone there. Mazwari, would you say is a wing back? Terry?
No, he's not. We don't really have any. We've literally got Shaw that's broken. We've got young Harry Amas. There's Dorgu, and then there is Diogo Dalot. We don't.
Yeah. So that's another avenue I'd look at as well. I know Ahmad is most likely going to play at right wing back, but I don't know, man. I don't know about that position for him. I think he looks better there, to be fair, but I don't know. It's just a little bit weird, isn't it? You know what I'm saying? But the point that I'm making here with Bruno's money is you could definitely bring in at least 2 new players. It's going to be quite hard to replace the numbers he puts into the team, but ultimately, if you take him out and you bring in the right profiles, your team as a whole can play a lot better. You know what I'm trying to say? But it won't be easy to replace him, man, because I'm trying to think of the players that can put up a lot of numbers like that, and I could really only think of maybe Morgan Gibbs-White, and I'll probably say Eze. Eze would be a good signing. There would be a good signing, but you need someone else along with those guys, man.
Yeah, what about yourself, Lawless? I mean, there are a lot of United fans. So typically, so many United fans that hate Bruno Fernandes' guts, now crying that we might let him go. I do think there is a propensity from certain Man United fans to just moan whatever's happening. You know, we literally in the last 2 days, this is what I've seen. I don't want Delap. I don't want Delap. I don't want Delap. He ain't good enough. He's too young. Man United have missed out on Delap. Fucking club so shit we can't even land our players. I hate Bruno. Overrated. Not good on the ball. Spam merchant. All he does is hero balls. Man United might be selling Bruno Fernandes. What the fuck is this club doing, man? This club is fucking bullshit. I don't understand it. I don't understand how. I'm freaked out by it a little bit. These people are on it. It must be for attention and social media. It can be
every club has them. I've seen it in my fan base. Every club has them. Of course, like go on, mate. What was you gonna say?
What do you think United should do?
Yeah, look, it's a risk because that's numbers you've got there and now. That's a player you know that can perform for Man United. So selling him for any price, it's going to be a risk whether you can replace him. However, this offer is too good to turn down. I believe it will be pure profit, right? That you'll be getting for Fernandes. So look, if let's say 100 mil, that's massive for a rebuild. And this is the thing with the situation you're in now, and this ain't a knock. Your pool is as weak as it's ever been, right? This is the weakest your pool has ever been. We've seen it with Delap. Having the finances gives you more muscle in order to get some of them upper echelon players over the line. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's a no-brainer. Obviously, Al-Hilal are seemingly a bit desperate, I think, because the Club World Cup's coming up. I think they're in the Club World Cup and they want to have a good go at it, right? They want to push. This is their chance to expand on a global scale in front of a global audience. So they obviously see Fernandes as a big a big option, a big sort of player in that. So for you guys, I think it gives you a little bit of bargaining power if they come with 80 to try and push for a little bit more. You know, it's early days. They want to get that deal done as soon as possible. I think do it. And then, do you know what I mean? Like, then you're going to have to rebuild and get that spot on. If you can get an Eze, that's great. But yes, you just can't turn down this type of money. How much money is Bruno on as well? What's his wages?
Like 250.
250. So there you go.
Around 250. Yeah, it's big. Staffy, I'm sure you agree with us accepting this money for Bruno.
Yes and no. Yes, the logical thing would be to accept it. No, because I don't trust this club to get better players. They'll find a way to get a worse player than what we already have. But it is tempting money. You could get a minimum of 100 million for him. They're ready to pay for him. Don't forget they have the whole Mo Salah budget unspent yet. So there's a lot of money to play with. I forgot what the exact number was. I think it was almost 300 million that they were trying to dedicate towards Mo Salah in terms of signings and eventually, obviously, wages, whatever. So they do have a lot of money to make a marquee signing for them. And they didn't win the league this year. They lost in the semifinals of the Asian Champions League. So that side of the world, I kind of keep an eye on the Saudi league a little bit, but a lot of their fans are really, really upset. They actually want their board sacked. So they'll do anything to make a marquee signing and kind of, appease to these fans a little bit. And Bruno could be a good signing for them. So listen, I'd 100% try to milk out as much money as I can from it. I think you can get a minimum of 100 to 120 million for him for the stature of that type of signing is for them. And as I said, their budget, and they're the biggest club in Saudi. They're the biggest club in the Middle East. So they're capable of doing this. They're basically the Real Madrid of that region. So you can actually go to that region, go to that team, and ask them for as much money as you want. And we heard it yesterday that they sat with the agent, and on the first meeting they agreed to all his demands. They didn't even say no. They said, you know what, we're down. Just go back to Bruno and get him to sign for the club, and the deal is yours. So yeah, I'd 100% go for it. I just worry that this club won't properly replace him. It is time for a rebuild. It is a good time to take that money and kind of replace it with, like, for 100 mil, you can get 2-3 very good players, 2 minimum. You know what I'm saying? So do I trust the club to do it? Unfortunately, I don't. But is it the right thing to do? Yeah, of course it's the right thing to do. Any other club would do it at our stage right now.
I don't know why I said I don't even know why I said wing back, bro. You could use that money to bring in an attacking midfielder and also your striker right now. Obviously, you've lost out on Delap. Maybe that would give you an even bigger budget, Staffy, to go and bring in a striker, man, because that's a position that you need, Terry.
Well, this is exactly what should happen in my personal opinion. I mean, by the way, breaking news just out from Santi FM that Man City are now the favourites to sign Riyad Cherki. So you've got to stop liking him now, Staffy. That's how it works when you're a Man United fan. He's got to become shit. But he is given the green light on the move. Personal terms are no issue, which means they've been agreed. The deal can be worth up to 40 million, which it sounds like they're obviously pushing a bit more money into Lyon than that 20 million that was being asked for. But so he's off the table. But this is the thing. I agree with everything Staffy has said. and with yourself, Don, I worry about him leaving because he does bring us something that most attacking midfielders in Europe are incapable of doing. The amount of goals he scores and the amount of chances that he creates. As an individual, he's almost irreplaceable. So I don't think we should be looking for a like-for-like replacement. I think what we need to be looking for are players that can control the ball in central areas more, control the game, better at progressing the ball into the final third. And then I'd be looking to use that money personally to go, right, let's see if we can get Victor Gyokeres done. Let's get the bid in now, and let's get Mbeumo and stop him from joining, or try to stop him from joining Newcastle. I'm not taking anything away from these clubs. They've got Paul, they've got exciting projects, they've got good teams. Then at the end of it, if we walk away after selling Bruno, selling Garnacho, we're sitting there with Gyokeres in the ranks, a Brian Mbeumo in the ranks, a Belieber or an Adam Wharton in the ranks as examples. Then I'm looking at as we put some money into a goalkeeper like a Jean Garcia as an example. Go and look at a really good, exciting, talented fullback. Again, more speed, more power. I'm not as worried. My concern, though, is the same as Staffy, that we won't buy the adequate replacements. And if we don't, I know some people don't like Bruno, but without his creativity centrally, I don't see who else is creating us chances. So it's such an important component for us to focus on in terms of window.
If you go check that top 10 list in Europe as well, Terry, obviously Bruno's on there, right? With the likes of Enzo Fernandez and Palmer. A lot of those players are unattainable, bro. Like you can't get Olise, you can't get Yamal, you can't get Pedri. It's very, very hard to replace, you know. And that's what I was even saying the other day when a lot of Chelsea fans were saying, "Oh, just get rid of Enzo." I'm like, who are you bringing in to replace this guy's creativity, bro? It's one of the best in Europe, and it's a similar sort of thing with Bruno, right? But I've got a question for you guys. With Ineos, you know, you wanted the football structure, guys. You've got that now. You've got Jason Wilcox. You've got all these guys there. Don't you think that they'll use this season as a way to rectify mistakes? Do you think that they're still gonna fuck up with the recruitment? And do you think, obviously with Scott McTominay, they didn't replace him adequately? Do you think that they would have learned from that to bring in better players?
I don't know. Where's the evidence to suggest it?
Well, a lack of evidence doesn't mean no evidence. So if you actually listen to what the club have said, these guys weren't even fully in place at the beginning of last preseason. And where I agree with you, Staffy, is we don't know what we don't know. At the same time, they weren't all in place at the beginning of last summer. So Jim has told us that. He said that we had this overlap here where people were coming in, we were settling down before decisions were being made. But they have to get it right. I don't know if you agree, Staffy. I don't think it's about faith.
I mean, they have to get it right. I just don't know if they will. And to me, it wasn't even about the timing of the replacements. It's the type of players we replaced them with. Like, you replace McTominay, who scores double-digit goals for you every season, and you replace him with a destroyer, not a controller. We were willing to give up goals to control the midfield more because he's just that double pivot that he always played in. We all know, listen, good for him what he did in Napoli. But it's not like he went to Napoli, all of a sudden he became a controller. He did the same exact thing he was doing for United. If anything, he had a better goal ratio for us last season because he played less than half the minutes that he played for Napoli and only scored about 4 less goals.
Bro, he won you 12 points. He won you 12 points, bro.
Yeah, remember that this guy was coming on and scoring last-minute goals for fun. But he was the only reason we finished in the top half of the table. We should have never finished in the top half of the table. We would have had a similar season last season, if McTominay didn't exist. But I was ready to give up goals to control the midfield. What they went and did, they spent double the money on a destroyer. Was not even good at this job like that. And now I find myself in the same situation again a year later. I still need someone to come in and control that midfield. But why am I to believe that they're going to do? If you could upgrade on McTominay, how am I meant to believe you can upgrade on Bruno or at least replace with similar quality? Replace the creativity with something else. If you lose a little bit creativity from him, but you gain more composure and control in the midfield, and then you allow Cunha or whoever else you sign in the front line to be that creative spark, maybe now Ahmad gets to move to the 10 and he plays a bigger role now with less Bruno on the ball, that's more Ahmad on the ball. Maybe he can become that creative factor. But I don't trust them to do that. And I have no evidence of them from last year to do that. I just know that they'll most likely go and get a wrong profile again. So we have to go to the summer and see as it is. Until I see it, I can't tell you it's going to happen.
That's the fear. And again, I'm listening to what Ineos have said. You know, obviously Wilcock came in and around the April last year. Dan Ashworth weren't through the door at this point in time. Vavel wasn't at the club, I don't believe, at this stage, as an example. And they hadn't even decided, and this was the biggest issue with the transfers, they hadn't decided even what direction they were going in terms of playing style, manager, etc. And they messed it up, and they absolutely did. So I agree with Staffy, there is no evidence. At the same time, they have decided on a direction to go in now. So I am expecting, not guaranteeing, but expecting that they get this right. But for me, I'm looking now at the situation with Gyokeres. You look at the fact that Liverpool are linked to a striker, but it's been documented by the Liverpool press, for instance, that a very good Liverpool journalist, that Liverpool striker may not be a very expensive one. Gyokeres could fit into that category, but he wants high wages. The amount of money they're spending on Wirtz, there's a lot of talk that they may not be putting a huge amount into a striker. Chelsea, are they going for a second one? They could. Depends on what, for me, I mean, it's interesting what Ben Jacobs said today, and he's very close to Chelsea. He knows a lot of people at Chelsea. Hasn't said they won't sign a second striker, but it's about assessing the situation. Because again, you can't be promising Delap first team football and then sign Ekitike or Gyokeres, because you only play one sole central striker, and they're going to want to play most of the game. So, and that's something. And I'm not saying Chelsea can't do it. I'm not saying Liverpool won't do it. But this is where I think Man United, if we've got anything about us, this is where we try and pounce. Because I think you can knock on the door of Gyokeres and go, look, Arsenal have just agreed personal terms with Sesko. They're very public about this. They were working on a deal with you. They've changed direction. The Lap's just gone in as the number one at Chelsea. Liverpool are putting all their money into the Wirtz bucket. City and Newcastle ain't going in for him. Villa ain't got any money. I know there's some European clubs that might be looking at him, but for me, this is where United, if we're getting this money for Bruno, we should be saying, look, there's the gentleman's agreement, that there's 55 million met. What do you want in salary? 250 a week? Bang, we'll give you Bruno's money. We need those goals. What we then need to then focus on, for me, because we need to add the goals, is that creativity. And I'm not sure if we're going to find it in a midfield player that's like Bruno, so I agree with that. They're few and far between. This is where we will see whether their data works. This is where we'll see whether the brilliance that is Wilcock and Vavel that's been explained before they arrived, can they go and find us in the market a player that none of us are maybe thinking can replace a Bruno, but is able to, a slightly different profile. So do I have huge faith in them? No, I'm the same as Staffy, but it's a case of they must. We can't allow someone like Bruno to leave. We can't generate all this income and then waste it, because we are running so... It's like running, we're low on the petrol tank. We've got barely any petrol left. We can't be taking wrong turnings, getting stuck in traffic. We've got to get to that destination in time. Otherwise, we're going to run out. So, yeah, look, it's going to be an interesting summer indeed for Manchester United. Viewers, give us your opinions on this. This comment here says, you said as an example, mentioning Gyokeres, etc., player that the team on the big boys table are looking at. Now, be honest, realistic. Who will you get? Well, this is the thing. The Gyokeres deal has been mentioned purely because every single credible journalist out there has said United are looking at him and it's possible, but it could be difficult because of no Champions League. I agree with that. The point you're missing on purpose is that Arsenal were the front runners. Now they've seemingly pulled away. Chelsea are interested, but they've gone and got Delap. Liverpool are more linked to Ramos at PSG and Ekitike right now than they are Gyokeres. PSG might come in and they'll blow us out the water, there's no doubt. But this is the thing, circumstances change. So it opens up an opportunity to try and convince him. Now, if we can't sign him, you were watching the shows yesterday where we spoke about this. You were there live, I watched you. And you saw us talk about, and I said this, we can't, the Ollie Watkins of this world, the Matetas of this world, that may be where we end up having to go. Mateta I would prefer over Ollie Watkins, absolutely. We maybe have to shop downstream a bit. But at the same time, those players, to get Mateta out of Palace, you're probably talking more than what it's going to cost to sign Gyokeres in terms of the transfer fee. So we have to be very, very mindful.
You think Mateta is going to be more expensive than Gyokeres?
It's going to be hard for you to get. You're talking as a. I've seen.
He has 1 year left on his contract, so he has 1 year left on his contract.
He's only 1 year left. Oh, sorry, I didn't know that. So maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe
that they renewed his contract. I don't know that. I just know he has 1 year left.
It's still costing you 40, 50, 60 million pounds to get Mateta this year. They are going to Palace are probably going to use Eze. They're going to lose Gahey. That's happening already. and everybody's circling for Wharton. So it depends on how many of those players are gone by the time we get to him. So look, as you say, you tell me who you think Man United could sign. I'm sure you're going to mention Dominic Calvert-Lewin and players like that. Well, I'd rather promote Chido Obi from the academy than spend money on someone like a Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
I don't know why they would leave Palace right now when they've just got Europe to a team that obviously just finished 14th. Yes, of course you can bounce back, but it's not. I don't think there's enough reason there that I need to leave Palace, to go and join Man United. That's a dream come true. Like,
they'll always take the money. They'll always take the money. Let's not act like that's never happened.
No, because listen, Don would tell you. Don will tell you, we do a show with D, the Palace fan, and he beats us over the head with this, with how difficult their owners are to deal with and how little they like to sell their players.
They're Americans, I know.
Yeah.
So it's not just a cut and dry. If we offer the money, they're gonna sell. Don't think you can just rock up.
No, but that isn't what I'm saying here. I don't want to get dragged into that conversation because all that super chat was about is who else would you want your club to target. I'm speaking from a fan's perspective of other names out there of people that I like. Of course, it's going to be difficult to get these players out of these clubs, convincing them and getting those deals done. At the same time, though, this is the thing with these conversations. Man United in the 80s, when we were on our arse, was still going out there and buying some of the best players of some of the best teams in England when we hadn't won a league title in 20, 30 years. This fan notion that United have lost its pull is ridiculous. Now, you didn't get Delap. You didn't get Delap. Yeah, we didn't get Alan Shearer when we were the best team in England. We didn't get Gazza at Tottenham when we were the best team in England. We've always missed out on players. Every single one of our clubs, Chelsea have missed out on players in their pomp to other clubs around Europe and England. It's not getting the lap is not an indicator that we couldn't attract people away from their current clubs.
So you give us your sales pitch right now. I'm Arteta right now. I know I've got hair, but I'm Arteta right now. You're selling your project to me, right? Why should I leave Palace right now with Glasner, who showed that he's a better man?
But I'm not doing it for you, because what you're gonna do is you're gonna do a David Brent style. You're going to do a David Brent style role play from The Office where you're going to look to trip me up at everything I say.
I'm not going to trip you up. I'm actually not.
I'm not doing it because you're going to sit there with a Chelsea hat on and look for the opposite side. I've gone through on this show 100 times before. There are still selling points of this club. I don't need to sit there and sell it. If you want to make a statement that Man United won't sign any top players this summer because we lost our pool, you just say it.
Hold on. I didn't make that statement. I just want to know your selling points for this. You must have some selling points, right? You must have some selling points. Tell us what they are. Tell us what the selling points are, bro. And I'll be like, okay, cool, fairs.
Is it just your Manchester United?
Sorry, Lawless. I don't need to tell you the selling points. You know what they are. I'm not saying them. If you don't think there are any, you can live that way. If you know what they are, I haven't got to validate you here. I don't need the validation
right now, though, because I'm looking at a team that just finished 15th. You know what I mean? You lost to Spurs in the final. You know what I'm saying, right? You're where you are. You know what I mean? You've got this whole problem. With players like Garnacho that want to dip out. Bruno and that these guys want to dip out and whatnot. Staffy, you give me your selling points, bro.
No, Staffy, don't
ask you a question. I'm asking a question.
Have we got Paul or no Paul? You make the statement and we move on.
I never made that.
Wait. Let me ask you a question.
Of course, United. Of course, United. Bro, of course, United can still attract players, right? But the point that Lawless is making,
there we go.
is it's not as easy as what it was.
We've all admitted that, so we don't need to debate it. We all agree with each other.
No, of course, but right now there's a bit of context that you're missing out. It's the first time. It's the first time that Palace have ever got Europe. This is massive. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
I'm not even talking about Palace players. I was answering a super chat. This is why we never get through the show and all the topics. The super chatter asked me of names of other players, and I just named a few players that I would like. I never said they were easy to get. I didn't say we'd get them. We don't need to waste time on it. It's an irrelevant talking point. We're not even linked to him.
But Goldbridge put it out there that you're linked to him.
No, he did. Did he? I don't know.
He said keep an eye on it.
Then go watch the United stand and at him. I'm not Mark Goldbridge.
So let me ask another question. When you finished 12th, okay, why did you, with no Europe, go and convince Caicedo to join you, Lavia to join you, Nkunku to join you, Palmer to join you, Disasi to join you, Jackson to join you, Ogochukwu to join you, Robert Sanchez to join you, Petrovic to join you? Those are just enough. Please explain to me how that happened.
I mean, you can
Yeah,
talk about
Champions League football. What happened that year?
Broski. We're Chelsea. You know what I mean? That's what we do. You know what I'm saying?
So you're
Chelsea.
Chelsea,
Yeah.
but I can't say, well, I'm United. Yeah.
No, I never said
move on, bro.
I never
One
said
nil Staffy,
you're
we move.
United, yeah. But most of these guys, Caicedo and these lot, because Caicedo's even a Chelsea fan, right? He in his lifetime, he's seen us win more than what you've won, bro. You know what I mean? In the life that he can remember, we've won more.
That's not true. He's Ecuadorian.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I'm
He's
saying, bro?
Ecuadorian.
Yeah. So what? You last won the league. When was that? Like 2013.
And you last won the league about what 8 years ago?
Hang on. So history's not just based on history's not just
didn't
based.
answer my
history-
question, by the way.
Hang on a minute. Hang on.
He knows
Staffy.
I got him.
This is just so mad, right?
Mad.
This is why I didn't engage in it at the end of the day. So now we only count history from when certain people were born and not what happened before it. Cool.
No,
Cool.
yeah, because bro, at the end of the day, when you're walking around now, you see a lot of kids wearing Man City tops and that, right? They're not gonna remember the Man City that was in Division 2. They're not gonna remember the Man City that was playing against these teams that most of these guys would never see play, bro. They're only gonna remember. They're only gonna remember what they were watching. Yeah, and what they were watching growing up was Chelsea lifting armpits.
Yeah, they did. Man United. He was born in 2001. So between 2001 and 2013, which was his childhood, Manchester United will done 2 3-peats, Champions League, Premier League doubles. So again,
Terry.
irrelevant from the point because I don't want the shirt.
This guy would remember ball from like 2009 onwards, bro. Let's be honest about it.
Find them. So it's not when he's born. So let me ask this. Yeah. So his what conveniently the year he'll remember it the year after we beat Chelsea in the Champions League final.
Yeah.
Right. So let me ask you this question, just because I want to get a quick answer and move on to these super chats. That's what we were trying to do. Do you think Man United still have the pull to sign a player? Forget the team they're at, of the stature of a Mateta in football. Do United still have the pull to do that, in your opinion?
Of course.
There we go. After all that, he agrees
So
with
we
me
did
anyway.
all that for no reason. Thank you, Don. Thank you for wasting my last 10 minutes.
Don, you're so shameless. You should have spoke. You spoke so much about how much pull Chelsea had when you were in the dumps, and now United don't have any pull.
Bro, I'm asking questions. Why can't I ask questions?
If players don't join United now, and by chance United finish higher in the league, they won't sign Mateta. They will go for better players next season. Pep about to ruin Turkey. No flair, keeping possession.
I don't buy that.
I joined the blue side. Sorry.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
I'm up
surprised.
for the big project.
Wouldn't be surprised. The problem with Man United selling Bruno for money is that the teams that United want to buy the good players from, Wharton, for example, will raise their demands knowing United aren't stingy. This is true. This is true. But we are going to have to pay slightly more than market value, slightly more for certain players, especially if they're not for sale. You're selling Bruno to keep the tea lady employed, something like that. The irony of Terry talking about tripping people up.
By the way, Adam Morton is on 35,000 a week. A week. 35.
Yeah. But he wouldn't, none of them want to play for Man. No one wants to play for Man United.
Who at least wants one at United?
They're in Europe now. They give him a new deal.
What is he going to get? Like an extra 20% because they made Europe?
No,
have they given them a new deal?
They can double it, triple it, whatever they want.
Surely you can attract him, man. He's from up north, ain't he? From Blackburn. You want to go a little bit closer to home?
I just think they've just won an FA Cup with Palace. They're going to want to play in Europe with them as opposed.
I'm just
to
giving examples. People,
why is Gahey going then?
Well, Gahey's been linked with moves since before this. Do you know what I mean? Like
Eze's been linked with a move every season for the past 4 years.
But Gahey was actually to the point where
I understand where you're coming from, and because you support a tiny club in comparison to Chelsea and Liverpool and Arsenal, you're doing up the whole. No, they'll want to stay. Let's be absolutely honest, right? And the reason I won't engage in doing a pitch to people just for them to say that's not going to work. But I sat here when everyone said Chelsea had finished. No, they weren't. I sat here when everyone said Arsenal were finished. No, of course they weren't. I sat on this show for years when Liverpool were struggling. They ain't lost their pull. There are certain clubs in England, and Chelsea did it over the last 20 years, where they built a reputation. It will take decades for their pull to dissipate in football, their ability to pay the right wages to disappear in football. And it is still an attraction to people. All those fans, forget Man United for a moment, because we may or may not come back. All those fans a year ago, 2 years ago went, What are Chelsea going to do with 55 players? Why would anybody go there? What prospects do they have? Everything that's now being said about Man United was being said about Chelsea. I'm not saying United next year are going to come fourth and win a trophy. I'm not making that claim. But this is all we ever do to the big boys. Whenever the big boys go through some hard times, there is this, it's like a pack of hyenas trying to jump on. Oh, we're going to eat. No, you're never going to be us, bro.
It's a given. We can go get Mateta. It's a given. We can go and get.
But no one has sat. This is the problem with that. This is how I've won. No one sat here and said it. You've had to lie in a debate. You're finished. Get out of here.
It's the attitude.
You're a liar.
It's not what you've said. It's the attitude towards it.
No, it's not the attitude.
That was not said to you.
That was not said.
Impossible.
You lot are right.
But nobody said it was a given. Nobody said it was a given. The question was, what kind of player would you approach if you can't get this person?
No, but
I just named two types of player. I didn't say just go to Palace and get Mateta. It's easy. No. Nobody said that. And if that's what you heard, that's because you've got an inferiority complex because of the big clubs.
I'm talking about when we were talking about Bruno. So this is before that question. You was throwing out Wharton and Eze.
I was giving examples. No. See, that's different. Again, you are misconstruing it because you're a little club. What you're not understanding is that I'm talking about the type of player that if we sold Bruno and then we replace him with players of that ilk and of that quality, I would be comfortable selling him. If we get rid of him and we replace him with scrubs, then it's a bad bit of business. I was giving you an example.
I say that if we sell Kudus, yeah, I'd love to go for Eze. I'd love to go for Mateta.
I would not turn around and say, I wouldn't say you couldn't. I'd say, well done for being ambitious.
Would you take Kudus, by the way, Terry?
I don't think he's as bad as the West Ham fans make him out to be, but I don't think that's going to happen. Let's go back to these.
He's not flavor of the month anymore. Now no one wants him anymore. It's crazy.
Let's do this. Yeah, I don't think he's as bad as people are making out. I just think he's had enough of West Ham personally. Right. When are we going to have the conversation that we'll come back to Chelsea when we get onto Chelsea as a subject. Sorry about that. Football has been around 140 years. Exactly. It's just crazy. Crazy some of the things that get said. Moving on from Manchester United, because it's always nice to move on from talking about them, because we can never actually have an honest conversation about Manchester United ever on the Football Terrace. It's ridiculous. It's people always go, Terry, you always do your club first to get it, to get it out of the way so I can enjoy the rest of the shows, because it's just jarring. Do you know what I'm saying?
You just don't like any negativity towards.
No, it's not about negativity. It's about lies. You literally lied.
Lawless, you want us to sit here and just say United are shit. We're never going to sign a good player again. Fold the club. There's no point. No one is ever going to sign for us. You don't think I can sign Gyokeres? You don't think I could sign Sesko? You don't think I could sign Mateta? You don't think I could sign Delap? You don't think I could sign anyone? You're going to tell me to go sign Jamie Vardy on a free. That's what you're going to tell me.
5-6 weeks ago, we weren't going to get Cunha either. It's just, last year we weren't going to get Euro. It's just, I am rattled by it, and I'll admit that to the audience. And I'm rattled because what I actually want to talk about, and we never get the fucking chance to do it, is where would this player fit in? Will he actually work for Man United? Where would his position be with the manager? We never get to actually talking about football with Man United.
If we sell Bruno? How do we prove that it's never that, bro? So shitting on United.
Jarring. So
we can have mental masturbation and sit there and talk how Eze will fit into Man United.
No, that's just not it. That's just not it, because we're not linked to him. That was not the point we were making. But we know, no, it's not that. But we do it to every other club. Yeah, do you think it will happen or not? Yes or no? Where do you think you'll fit in? We can never get to that part with Man United, which I think is more interesting to our viewers, because it always becomes, you just said you get Mateta easy. No one sat here and said that. You lied.
No, I never said you said that. You're lying now. You're calling me a lie. I never said you said you'd get Mateta easy.
Why did you bring it up?
No, what I'm saying is the attitude, as if you could. As if like
from who?
No one said that. I'm putting a counterpoint of just saying, yes, you can mention these players. What I'm saying is, I think personally, unless there's a serious offer coming through, they'll want to continue that project. They're under a very good manager. They're in Europe. They've just made history. I think it's not even a knock against you.
No, so just to move on from here, if Manchester United right now go to Crystal Palace and offer like 50 million for him, and they're going to put him at about 120 to 150K a week, do you think he would reject?
He himself would reject.
Thank you. Let's move on.
I think if Palace, and this is the thing, I don't think he's going to put pressure on Palace. If Palace said go for it, then there's a chance he accepts, of course. But the problem is, Palace has to say yes. And Palace say no
for him to go. Okay.
Yes, but he's not going to pressure to leave Palace to move to Man United. He's not going to down.
Jean-Philippe Mateta His
Oh my God.
dream growing up
Oh
was
my
to play
God.
for
I'm
Palace in
moving
the
on,
Europa
guys.
League
I'm
one
shutting
day.
it down. I'm
And
moving
if
on.
you're coming for him,
He's
you will
not
reject us.
the talking
That is
point.
Lawless's word.
All right,
I
they're
take
all
you
going
for
to
it.
Man
You are right,
United.
Lawless.
No,
Let's move on.
no one has said that. No
Every
one has said
French
that.
boy grew up wanting to play for Palace in the Europa League one day. You're absolutely spot
Nunes,
on.
when
Let's move on.
they sign Mateta, they're gonna absolutely crash it on you.
No, I
Just
won't.
Just go Terry's
I
document.
This
can't
is what's going to
be
happen all
honest
summer.
with
Every
this
time we're going to
pathetic-
mention a link, Lawless is going to say we're 15th, we have no pool. By his
I
logic, we're
never
not going to
said
sign players.
I said your pool isn't what it was. I never said you have no pool. And if you think your pool is what it was at your height, then you're deluded. You're deluded.
Again,
You're not going to have
nobody.
any pool.
Again, Lola. Sorry, Staffy.
What
Let me
are you
jump in a minute. As
talking
host,
about?
I've got to jump in. Sorry. Nobody. Again, that's the second lie you've told in this
That's
conversation.
not a
That's why
lie.
I'm
I'm
angry.
saying if. Terry,
Why?
I've
Hang
got
on,
to
hang on.
you.
Stop it,
You
stop
don't
it,
know-
Lola.
no, wait,
Stop it,
Terry,
Lola.
Terry,
Lola,
you don't
please
know
stop.
what a lie is. Stop saying
No,
I lie.
I'll tell you why it's a lie. I'll tell you why it's a lie,
I said
Lawless.
if.
No, again, but
How is that
yeah,
lie?
but you are putting forward the word if in a conversation where Staffy and I have already both said we know our pool is nowhere near where it is. You don't need to use that. You don't even need to say that with us because we have
But this
admitted
is what
to
I'm
it.
saying. So Staffy's throwing a tantrum, but we've got no pool. You don't think I
I'm
never
in
said that.
no temper tantrum. I'm
you're
okay,
lying on
brother.
me.
I'm okay. Trust me.
So
Wallah,
you're
I'm okay.
lying on me by your own definition. You're basically inferring that I said you have no pool when I never said that.
Children, let's move on. Let's move on now.
That's what I'm saying. You
Children,
can't call me a
Lawless,
liar,
I
lying
can
on me.
only
Like,
sign
you're
players
lying.
from the championship right now. I agree with you.
let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move
That's
on.
where we're at. Lawless will sit here, insinuate shit, but be like, well, I didn't say that. If I can't pull Mateta from Palace, trust me, brother, it means I can't pull anyone. That's fine, bro. Because between all the strikers that may be available, Lawless, from all the strikers that will be available this summer, Mateta's probably the lowest, and I actually think he's very good. If you tell me you don't have to pull to get Gyokeres, I'll shake your hand and be like, you know what? This is not the summer where I can flex my pull and say I can get him because there's a lot better options. You say that about Sesko. Even with Delap, I understand all that. But for a player, let me finish. For a player who's not even linked with anyone heavily this summer, and he is someone that people look at as like, you know what? If United don't have pull to get all these big names, they'll probably be able to get Mateta.
Yes.
For you to sit here and pretend that we have no pull over Palace because they're in the Europa League, if you don't think that's delusion, that's up to you. That's fine, bro. We'll finish 15th for the rest of our life. You're right. We're shit.
If Palace rejects Man United, will he protest? Will he down tools? Will he force a move? I'm saying he won't force a move to Man United. I'm not saying
he's going to force a move either.
Man United.
No one said he would.
I didn't say he's going to force a move either. You are pretending that Mateta wouldn't even pick up the phone if United called.
I'm not saying this.
You're
I'm not
insinuating
saying that. Oh
yes,
my God.
you said he would reject. You said he would stay at Palace and play in the Europa League. You are insinuating that our pool is so bad because we're not in Europe this year that Mateta wouldn't even pick up the call. What are we doing
lying.
here?
You're lying. Because what I said is,
let's move on.
Insinuation is not a fact.
And let's move on. Let's move on. We've
We
gone
do
back
this
to
every show, but I knew this was gonna happen. I texted him before the show. I said we're gonna ramble on for 30 minutes because Lars is gonna talk shit about United. Now let's talk shit about Chelsea. Tell me how Chelsea shouldn't celebrate.
Don did.
No, Don didn't. Don didn't. No, Don didn't. Someone super chatted asking for some ideas and names of some other players, and I just mentioned some names of players that I have said I would like us. All I said is players I would maybe like us to target if we can't get the guys that are already on our list. And it got twisted. The last thing I'm going to say, it got twisted into why do you think he would leave you guys easy? And if you guys want to sit here and say that your pool hasn't diminished from your top levels, and that was not even implied or suggested at any singular point. We have just spent.
You hear what you want to hear.
I go back and listen to it. It's not what I said.
Yeah,
it's not what I said at all. It's crazy. Your inferiority complex to big clubs is crazy.
How can this is the thing, Terry?
You're letting him rattle you.
Don't let him rattle you. That you've got a lie.
I'm not letting him rattle me. I'm not letting him
rattle them. You've rattled them. Don't let him rattle you, bro. Don't let him rattle you. Hold it. Hold your cool.
I'm not letting him rattle me.
Don't lie then. Just don't lie.
I'm not lying.
I'm gonna do that for you, then. Next time we have a dishonest conversation about Chelsea, I'm gonna do that.
Let's go,
guys, I'm going to mute everybody if I can't get through these super chats for the audience next. Sorry. Look at the bright side here. Tell all the dumb shit they have said makes us super chat. Go have a spa day or something. I need it after listening to that, I tell you. Fucking hell, even as a Chelsea fan, this does get stupid. All the effort Terry puts into TFT. Please let him talk about United sometimes. I appreciate that. Thank you. That's why I do get annoyed, and I don't care if it upsets people. If people want to unsubscribe, they can. I don't mind the status of the club being challenged, but every conversation about my club goes back to the same talking point again. And it's jarring. It's why I prefer talking Man United on the United stand, because you're just with other Man United and you can have it. We get into everything, including the stuff that Lawless has brought up. But with Man United, it's like whenever there's an opportunity for us to even smile about something, people just got to take a big shit on it. And it's just fucking jarring. Don usually banter you, but fair play to Chelsea. Look forward to the nice blue versus red battles next season for the Prem. You guys have my respect. London is red.
Biggest so
that
far,
is from
Biggest
that is
so
from that is from Guna Carlos. Moving on, we're going to come back to. There's quite a few super chats left, but they're about other clubs, so we'll kind of come back to them when we're talking about them. But I want to move on to Liverpool. It's been reported that a bid worth 109 million pounds, so about 130 million euros, has been made for Wirtz. Don, they mean serious business, Liverpool, and this is going to complete one of the biggest transfer, the biggest transfer in English football history.
No, 100%, man. 100%, man. When you win the league, you can't take time out, bruv. You know what I'm saying? I go back to when we last won the league. We literally finished 30 points behind Man City the season after, bro, because we didn't recruit well. You know what I mean? They're bringing in Wirtz, they're bringing in Gyokeres, they're bringing in Frimpong. These guys go straight into the 11 straight away and improve them, because we can see Robertson's not the same as what he was. Gyokeres right now, great potential. You know, I spoke about this guy when he first came. I wanted Chelsea to sign him, but obviously we've got Cucurella, so I'm not burning, but he's a very good player. You've got Frimpong, you know, defensively he's not the best, but offensively he'll bring more numbers to the team. You know what I mean? You've got obviously Wirtz, who will come into that team, who offers a lot more creativity than Szoboszlai. On the ball, he's clear of Szoboszlai. They should be getting more numbers consistently from that position as well. So they're not just dependent on Salah for all the numbers. They're moving correct right now, man. They're moving correct. I can't hate. I can't hate right now. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's looking like Liverpool the team to beat right now. Like I said to Potts the other day, they're the benchmark. You know what I mean? They played really good football. I'll probably say the first half of the season. Second half they tailed off a little bit, but they still managed to get over the line. But yeah, man, it's looking like Liverpool the favourites to go win the league again next year from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. The only thing that has been reported, I wanted to get Staffy's view on this, is that they may not now have too much of a budget left towards a striker. And you see the prices of the Seskos and the Ekatikes they're linked to are sort of 70 to 90 million pound. Is it worth putting all that money into a Wirtz and not a number 9 if those reports from the Liverpool media are true?
No, 100%, man. 100%. Players like Wirtz don't come around often. And I've already said to you, bro, the amount of players in Europe that are very hard to get that can create at the same rate as Wirtz. You know what I mean? If you don't go get Wirtz right now, you're looking at the likes of Morgan Gibbs-White, you're looking at the likes of Eze. He's the best option available in the market to give you that creative spark in the midfield. You know, if I was an Arsenal fan right now, he's the sort of player I'll be looking to bring into my midfield. You know what I mean? So they can't miss out on him, man. Sometimes you need to make big statements. Like Slot has proven himself. He came into the league when everyone thought Liverpool would drop off, including myself. I put them third, to be fair. So I thought they would, you know, sort of still be up there, but third, not win the league, right? And this is the first time where he's actually been sort of given money. So you've got to make a big statement. You've got to make a big statement, man. They didn't spend anything last year. You know, Trent's leaving, you know, on a free as well. There's many reasons why FSG should get this sorted out, man.
Yeah, he's one of those little that little group of star boys that's going on over these couple years. Between him, Musiala, Shirky maybe is going to be one of them. Yamal, there's a few wonder kids that are going on right now, and they're getting one of them. And listen, he's played good football under Xabi Alonso, won the league, so he's definitely a good signing. In terms of not signing a striker, I hear it. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know if they should go for Gyokeres. I don't think that's the signing for them. I think Ekatika would probably be a little bit better of a signing. I think a striker who kind of has a little bit more of an all-round game, a little bit more talented in terms of like link-up play and all that. I think he'd be a good signing for them. I don't know how much he would be, though. That's the thing. Like, I don't see him and Gyokeres going for around the same money. It would be delusion. Because one guy's 27, bagging goals for fun. He's a top 1%, by the way, in the world right now for what he's doing. And Ekitike, listen, he's a good player, but there's a lot for him to still learn. Like if Marmoush went for, how much did Marmoush go for last January?
60 M's, I swear.
Yeah, like 60 million. I don't see Ekitike being that much more than him. Like I don't think he should be much more than him right now.
Apparently they're asking for about 83 million. For
it's a little bit delusional, I'll be honest.
You have to look at Liverpool, bro. They've got assets to sell, man. You've got Endo. They're
gonna have to move on some players. That's the thing. Jota has to go. Nunes has to go. What's his name?
I think they'll keep Jota.
What's the left winger's name?
I think they'll keep Jota Staffy, man, as a backup. I don't think they'll sell him. Jota, I don't think they'll sell him. Diaz, I saw a couple.
No value. They'll keep him one more year. I think they should sell him and just cash on him. There's a couple teams that just want experienced players going into the Club World Cup, and this is a perfect time for a lot of players, a lot of teams to dump some of these experienced players because, as we mentioned earlier, this is a huge prize coming up for this Club World Cup, and a lot of teams want to compete for it. So Diaz, thank you, chat. I don't know why I forgot his name. Luis Diaz is going to be one of them. Barcelona really want him. They're going to have to move a lot of assets, honestly. If they're able to move him and reinvest, I think they should reinvest in Ekitike, not Gyokeres. But that would be a good move for him.
Sorry, it's good. It's going to be an interesting one because it was a few of the audience then who said this. It was Sam Maguire, who's a respected Liverpool journalist, says that Liverpool add PSG's Ramos to their shortlist as they look for a value for money attacker in an overpriced market. Now it's an interesting one because that's such an FSG line, typically speaking, when they're looking for a player. And I agree with what Maradon said in the comment section that Terry, we might sell players, and you're right. But what remains to be seen is whether you'll sell players and then go and drop 90 million on a striker, or whether or not you're going to sell players to help balance the books of buying Wirtz and the other and increasing the salaries of the Salahs and the Van Dijks, and then whether or not you're going to go for a good striker as opposed to a current world-class one like a Gyokeres, or a player that's got that potential in the future who's also going to be more expensive. So I'm not saying Liverpool won't do it, but I can only report on the news that is out there. We can all give our views. I don't understand why Liverpool won't go and don't go and get Gyokeres though. I'm flabbergasted.
I don't think he fits him as much as you think he does.
Doesn't fit him. Why?
So the thing about Gyokeres, I don't think his link-up play is as good as people think it is. And when you look at the players that they're going to surround him by right now, especially Mo Salah still being there, he got a new contract. Wirtz is going to be adding GNA from the middle. I think they're better off going for an all-round type of striker than him. The thing about Gyokeres, I think he needs to play. Honestly, if it comes to the Premier League, I kind of see him struggling in one of the bigger clubs because without that space, I kind of doubt what he can do in the Premier League. Because we've seen him play on English soil before, and he played with Coventry, and he wasn't that great with them. Now, obviously, that's not the same level as the Premier League. I actually think he's a little bit more suited for Serie A or a team that's a little bit lesser on the ball than them. So, like, as an example, I'm going to use United, not because I think he's coming to United before Lawless loses his shit. United, as an example, I think next season they're going to play football it's not really going to be respected. Like, no one knows how United's front line is going to be, number one. Number two, a lot of teams won't set up defensively as they would against Liverpool, as they do against Arsenal. When I look at Gyokeres, most of his goals comes from him running into space a little bit on that half left-hand side, cutting into his right and shooting. I look at him, I'm like, can he really do that for Liverpool? Can he do that for Arsenal? I don't think he can do it for Arsenal. That's number one. Liverpool, there's a little bit of a better chance there, but is he really what they need? I think to accommodate the players around him, if you get a striker who's a little bit better on the ball than someone who just wants to run into space and score, I think that's a better fit for them. It doesn't mean, by the way, he'll flop if he goes to Liverpool, because I know there's a lot of thick people here that don't understand. I'm just saying, ideally,
don't talk about Lawless like that. Lawless doesn't think you meant that. He wouldn't lie about you.
I'm just saying, man. But that's
what the thing is, yeah, listen, I hear what you're saying about Gyokeres, because I've got similar sort of reservations about him in terms of when you're playing in less space, right? The low blocks and whatnot. But when it comes to just finishing, bro, he's gonna have a lot of guys that can create for him, man. Then you will help him.
You're lagging crazy.
Your internet's gone mad. Bro.
Yeah, you're lagging crazy. Just to put it, by the way, into numbers, Gyokeres averages less passes into the box than Højlund. So that's why I'm talking about his link-up play. Like, it's not really his strength. That's not to say he's not a good player. I'm just looking at profiles. Who fits what they currently have right now? And that's why I'm looking at someone like Ekitike a little bit better. That's just generally what I think.
Do you think that Gyokeres would be a bad fit for Man United in the Premier League?
No, I actually think he'd be a perfect fit for United. I just don't think he would want to go to United.
What? Are you crazy? How dare you say that? How dare you? I'm joking. No, I think Gyokeres, I just think Liverpool need a I do think they need that clinical focal point up top. They've had, like, obviously the Nunez's and the Jotas, man. If they can get someone that just, like I said, can bag on a consistent basis, I think that would be exactly what they need to fucking defend that Premier League. Do you know what I mean? They do get goals around the pitch, but Arsenal did. Like, at the certain point, you can't rely on that. You need that clinical guy up front to pull you out of a hole. Like, and I get what you're saying. Like, when teams are sitting deep, that's going to be, an issue. And sometimes you need a player where you can pump some crosses into the box and
Salah would have to take a little bit of a creative role next year if Gyokeres is his teammate. And there's ways to work around it. I'm going by what I've seen from Liverpool last year. I do think if you play with a Salah, because as I said, I don't think his link-up play is as good as people think it is. If you can play with Salah, and Salah's very good at that one killer ball. Like, he has that outside of the foot pass that he always plays to the back post, or he can actually sometimes get the ball, just look up and play a ball in behind. If he can kind of be in more of this creative back next season rather than scoring every goal, if he could score less goals, but it does mean that Gyokeres can come into this team and do what he's doing for Sporting. If you're gonna get Gyokeres and try to change his game to fit Mo Salah and Wirtz, I don't think it would work. I just generally don't. I think they're better off going for Nketiah.
And Ali says here in the comments that Paul Joyce said that we want to spend big on a striker and centre back. And yeah, my gut feeling is Liverpool will. I mean, I'm only reporting on what's being said. That's not the same as giving an opinion. I think if you drop 30 million on a Ramos, it's underwhelming. You bring in an Nketiah as an example. You bring in someone that could become an absolute demon of a striker for you in terms of goals and interplay. It's brilliant. And even at centre back, I mean, you've got 2 years worth of money because you didn't spend anything last year. I'd be annoyed if I was a Liverpool fan if those 3 signings come in and then after that it was budget and sell. I think they should be getting at least 2 more players in of the caliber that's been mentioned, Ali. So I think what you say there holds some water. On the striker conversation, though, I think it brings us nicely into obviously Chelsea yesterday, Don, landing Delap. A lot of reports saying that is your main number one choice. How do you feel about that report? Do you feel like he is ready and good enough to be your main number 9 next season?
Liam, by the way, not Rory, because I know you messed it up. Yesterday he tweeted Rory. He was like, Rory. And I was like, you mean Liam?
Yeah, man. Shit, man. You know what I mean? Liam, welcome. And welcome to the biggest club in London. You know what I'm saying? But listen, when you talk about the quality, Terry, I'm not worried about his quality because he's a very good player, man. When you watch him playing, he doesn't seem like a kid. You know, he looks like a guy that's already been playing in the Prem for a couple of years. But the issue that I've got is just the little intangibles, no Champions League experience. Obviously, it's the first time now that he's actually playing in the first team for a big team. The pressure that comes playing with Chelsea, bro, because he's going to have lows, as we've seen with Palmer this season, where things aren't necessarily going for him. How's he going to overcome that, right? That's why, for me, ideally, I want someone that's a little bit more experienced to be ahead of him, someone that he can still learn from and relieve a little bit more of that pressure. Because I've seen a lot of players, man, they've come to this club and they've sort of crumbled under pressure. You've got the same thing with some of the players that have gone to United. It's kind of similar at Chelsea. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of him as a player, I really like him, bro. He knows how to hold up the ball. He's very good at progressing with the ball, like actually running through people. He's like a tank, bro. He reminds me of Costa, right? Very good at creating good angles for himself from the box to shoot as well. He normally plays like drifts more to the left-hand side, to be fair to him. And he's not the greatest in the air. Like aerially, he's not the greatest. But when I've seen a lot of his
ball well, he just doesn't finish with his head very well.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Because people are like, oh, he's shit in the air. And I'm like, I see him winning a lot of headers, but most of them end up in the keeper's hands. You know what I mean? So that looks to me more like a coaching thing, right? The good thing is at least he's winning his headers. Because Jackson, this guy don't win nothing in the air, bro. You know what I'm trying to say? But ultimately, Terry, he's coming into a team where he's played with Palmer before. He's played with Lavia before. Maresca knows exactly how to use this guy. He scored a lot of goals with Maresca in the academy as well. So I'm not worried about, the team and how they're going to play with this guy because I think he'll fit in like a glove. But it's just the little intangibles there. I'm just a little bit skeptical. Like, we can't go into the season with just Delap and a Jackson because it's looking like Gil might go the other way to Ipswich. We've got Champions League football, man. Yeah. I saw two both of our strikers get injured. We're having to play Neto up top. We're having to play Nkuku up top. It wasn't good. So I just want to be covered for every single situation, Terry. I want a situation where next year we go into the Carabao Cup. We're starting Delap in those games, right? You're starting him in the FA Cup, right? Against the lower teams in the league, you're starting him against those teams. Or against the bigger teams, you start a Gyokeres, for example. You bring Delap off the bench. It's long. No one wants to be seeing Delap coming off the bench. You know what I'm saying? So I want us to be, covered in all areas and have the quality across the board. Because we've lacked quality in vital areas this season. Striker being one of them, man.
The thing is, like, I think, Delap, he is clearly a better finisher than Jackson. Like, it's an upgrade in that regard. You create a lot of chances, as you always like to remind us of, Don. So having someone like him, he should be able to finish a lot more of them chances that Jackson is. Like, there are intangibles. My thing is, if you do go and get a Gyokeres or an Ekitike, like, something's going to happen with Jackson. I know in an ideal world, like, you have Gyokeres, Delap, Jackson in one team. I don't think that's realistic. Like, Jackson's not this little young academy striker that he's on the fringes. Like, he was the man. Then he's pushed behind Delap, who is then behind a Gyokeres. So I think really you either look to sell Jackson or loan him out. I would take him on loan. The thing is, we ain't going to create anywhere near the chances probably that you created. So he's not going to. Yeah, I don't think it'd be great, but I think
you would take Jackson on loan.
I think I like I said.
Hang on. Look, why have you just said it'd be easy to get him away from Chelsea into your club, man? Why is it going to be easy? I mean, why is it easy?
It is. Of course it's good. That's what I believe. Because we're the biggest club in history.
You're the biggest club in Stratford. I'll give you that.
Whoa! Let's get it right. We're the biggest club in Newham. At least say that, because we're including Leighton Orient. At least say that.
Yeah.
We're beginning Orient.
Hang on, Leighton Orient's in Waltham Forest, bruv.
Yeah, what's this guy talking about?
It's not even into it.
Yeah, it is. It's Waltham Forest.
So
He's in East London, boy. He don't even know his Forest. He doesn't even know his
It's on the border.
That's because he's one of those West Ham fans who's really from Essex. He ain't really an East London boy. He's a fake.
Listen, I've done that walk from
He's
Stratford
about
to
as East
Leighton.
London as I am from Moss Side, I tell you.
Because listen, I've actually walked from Stratford to Leighton. Like, it's so close. It's close. I do that.
It's not Newham, though. They're not in Newham.
No, it's not. It's Waltham Forest. It is.
I'm gonna be honest with you. You would want Jackson out like after like 180 minutes of play.
No.
You
listen, I'm just
you
saying.
wouldn't survive more than that. 2 games, you'll be like, get him out of my club.
It's his finishing. So what I'm saying is, I still want to sign a striker, but as an option to take him on loan, I think that serves Chelsea. Because maybe he does the bigger fish, smaller pond thing, and he actually bangs, and Chelsea get more money next season when his stocks are even higher. What I'm saying is it doesn't make sense, really, for them to have Jackson, Delap, and then another top striker that's going to be in front of those two. Like, they even need to sell him or loan him. I think that makes
Kunku?
What's that?
Would you take him Kunku?
Do you know what? No.
See how he laughed? He couldn't even.
He just, you know what I mean? And I hear it. Listen, I hear it because it's like, okay, when's Jackson going to get the game time and all of these things? But I think it's a situation where if we keep him, again, we're going into Champions League next year, bro. There's gonna be enough games to go around, man. In the Prem, and again, Champions League, you've got the domestic cups there as well. Obviously, now you've got the Club World Cup coming up and that as well. I don't know if he's injured, Jackson, because he came off injured the other day. I think he faked it because he was shit. Away from that goal, he was shit, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Bruv, that when I thought he actually had a hamstring, and then I saw the footage of him celebrating afterwards. I was like, oh, he actually faked a hamstring because he was so embarrassed.
He was so embarrassed, though. I remember seeing Aspilicueta done the same thing against Arsenal in the FA Cup final, right? I looked at this guy; he was stinking out the place, and he goes down injured. He comes off the pitch, and that. I know I'm familiar with that game.
We used to play football. Like we play football on Sunday or wherever it was, and have a strap on the knee. Why are you wearing a strap on your knee? Oh, bro, because if I miss a chance, I'll start limping, and then I think it's injured. Like, people literally used to do that sort of thing, man.
No, 100%. So I get it, innit? I get it. But ideally for me, I want to keep all 3 of them, man. I just want to. I've got serious PTSD from not having a striker available and going into all these other comps because this year we didn't get anywhere near Wembley. FA Cup, we got knocked out by, was it Brighton knocked us out? Carabao Cup, we get knocked out by Newcastle. We need to go back to Wembley next year, man. So I want to be covered. Bro.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Wayne here says, my preference has been, he's an Arsenal fan. My preference has been Gyokeres. Wanted Arsenal to sign him last summer, but I can see why Arsenal wants Sesko. Think he will do really well at Arsenal. I mean, that's the other side of this as well in terms of the domino effect. And Jacob said that earlier on the show. It's a lot of people were expecting Arsenal to go for Gyokeres. They've now agreed, according to a couple of sources this afternoon, personal terms are either agreed or going to be no issue when it comes to Benjamin Sesko. I mean, are Arsenal making the right choice here, do you think, guys?
I have the unpopular opinion, so let them go first. I want to hear from Lawless.
Yeah.
This is the thing to me. Like, Gyokeres comes across more like the player for now. It's the now ready signing. Do you know what I mean? The more experienced player. He has got experience in England as well. Numbers through the roof, all of that sort of thing. Where Sesko looks like a very, very talented player. It's just a case of, is he going to come in and be the guy next season? Do you know what I mean? And that's what they need. They need to get over the line now. And there's always talk about, oh, we got a young team. It's a young team. You've got to give us time. You've got to give us patience. I thought from last season we was getting over that young team and we were starting to look at them buying the now players, the ready-made players. You know, he should be really an upgrade on what they've got, but is he going to be able to come straight into the Prem and bag? Like, there was obviously, they was dreaming of Isak. If Newcastle didn't get Champions League, that was going to be everyone's target. All the Arsenal fans were talking about Isak, and then they got the Champions League, and it was like, damn, that's gone. Like, so Isak, that's a now striker. We're ready to win the league. Whereas Sesko looks like a very, very talented player, but it may take him time. There may have to be a little bit of patience, in my opinion. Like I said, I'm not saying it's a bad signing. I'm just saying of the two, for them, I would lean towards a Gyokeres, and that was before this story was coming up. That's the name I was hearing from a lot of Arsenal fans. Potts Don was saying, like, Gyokeres. Like, a lot of Arsenal fans, we know that was the first choice for them as well. So
the thing is, I just don't trust Arteta, bro. I know he would get a Gyokeres and it'll be like, yo, I need to track back. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the day that happens, like, someone needs to rush the pitch and just punch Arteta. Because I'm tired of him trying to have everyone just track back every day, bro. At some point, just have a striker up there or have an attacker that just sits up there and does their job. This guy, I promise you, he would get Gyokeres and he would turn him into like a 15-goal a season striker from after all the goals that he's scoring right now. And that's why I actually think Sesko's the better signing. And I said on Straight Facts a few months ago. I don't know if you guys remember that. I did say I think Sesko is not the popular one. But when I look at his game, I actually think his game and the way his game is developing, I actually do think he kind of fits what Arteta's trying to do a little bit more. The only bad thing about it is that it kind of shows that Arteta can't get these big signings and kind of play around them. Because, like, the fact that I think stylistically Sesko fits more, but I don't have trust that Arteta can bring this guy in and just have everyone cater around him. Like, it just reminds me of like when United got Van Persie as an example. I remember, I forgot who it was. I think it was Rooney who came out and said there was like a game where Van Persie was barely getting the ball. And he spoke to him and Kagawa and said, if you guys don't get the ball up to Van Persie, I'm going to sub you guys off. That just shows you these managers that when they get a big signing, especially a striker who could score you 20 to 30 goals a season, they'll play to them knowing that's their best strength and they'll kind of adapt to it. The fact that Arteta kind of shies away from these big names and these big egos, it's not a good sign. But that's a different discussion. I'm just talking about the football that I see right now and the brand of football that I see right now. And me and Tom Little actually had this debate yesterday in the chat. I do think for what I've seen last season, how they play, I kind of think Sesko fits that team a little bit more. Now, I know the Darwin Núñez comparisons. He's someone that just likes to hit the ball with his laces. He doesn't really place the ball well. There's a lot to work on. I think he's tall. I think he's very agile for his size. And his variety of finishing, I kind of like it. I do feel like eventually he looks to me like when Isak went from Sociedad to Newcastle, he's ready to take that jump. And funny enough, I think Isak left Sociedad after only scoring 13 goals. Sesko only had 13 goals in the league this season. But I always like a striker that over exceeds their XG. Like, he's overscoring his XG this season. Shout out to David. I think he always says that also whenever I see me. I like a striker that over exceeds his XG. And he's over exceeded his XG. So I think when he plays with Saka, with Rice, with Odegaard, I think he gets a little bit more goals.
Robert here says, Staffy's right. I don't want Gyokeres at Arsenal. He plays left wing way too much. We need a central focus and a good striker in tight spaces for Saka to cross. Basically, what Staffy is saying is that Gyokeres is the focal point of the attack, where Sesko is part of the attack.
It's not that. So Sesko's a lot younger, so you can't say he's a focal point. If he goes to Arsenal, he doesn't become the focal point. He's a little bit too young for that. It's not about Gyokeres being the focal point. I love the one thing I always believe in sports. It's all about matchups. Does this person match up with what you need? And I look at what Sesko has as a player. I think he matches up a little bit more. It doesn't make him a better striker than Gyokeres. I just don't think you cater to the way that Gyokeres would play. If you just get Gyokeres, you're pinning back teams and you're not giving him the space to run into, and you're asking him to do just box striking ability for 90 minutes. I don't think that's the right signing. I don't think that's money well spent. If you're going to play the way he plays, if let's say you get Gyokeres and you're like, you know what, guys, we're going to drop the line a little bit deeper. We're going to become a little bit more of a transitional team. Instead of having 60% possession, we're going to have around 50%. But it means that affords us a lot more counterattack, which caters to him. Then go ahead and do that. I just don't think Arteta does that.
Tony here says, as fans, we always want to win now. I am one of them. Well-run clubs are always thinking of the future, like City. Difference is City has win now players, and then they bring them in for the future as well. Which makes a lot of sense. Stavroth here says, is the Portuguese league game very poor, gents? I don't understand why some people say Gyokeres is a huge risk, but a 21-year-old like Sesko is not.
It is a good point, because the Germany league is a lot better. Name me any Liga NOS teams that you know outside of Braga, Benfica, and Porto. You wouldn't really be able to name them.
Yeah.
By the way, Sesko has a very bad record in the Champions League this season. He scored 6 goals. Apparently 3 of them was against City, and that was City when they went on that 1-in-13 run. Remember when he scored that hat trick?
You got Bruno from Sporting, though. You got Bruno from...
Bruno was from Sporting.
No, but he's not a striker. We're talking about strikers right now.
You know,
well,
I mean, it's footballers, but I mean, look, they both have a risk attached to them. What I would say about Gyokeres is this: 97 goals in 102 games isn't a flash in the pan season. It's an astronomical amount. You're probably going to lose 30% coming to a harder league, a more physical league, but losing 30% still gives you I think his goals and assists to games to ratio is 122%. To give you context of that, Mo Salah's got one of the best in Premier League history at 85%. So if you lose 40% of the goals and the assists from Gyokeres, you'll still be producing Mo Salah's numbers. That's the potential you've got there. But there is a risk. It doesn't work. But every signing is a risk. We saw.
I just think he loses a lot of his.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the thing is, I think people are doing a little bit of over analyzing for some of these guys, man. Like, you're not gonna get a perfect striker right now. You know what I mean? Like, the days of even the likes of Suarez and these guys, as good as they were, they had some weaknesses, right? And obviously, I get it. Like me, I'm skeptical about the whole Gyokeres thing. I don't know how much you heard, Staffy, because I lagged out. But
yeah, you like that one here, really.
Okay, the way Gyokeres plays, especially in the box, he knows how to create chances for himself, bro. And his finishing's very, very crisp. You know what I mean? When he gets that ball, he just smacks it. So for me, I'm not overly concerned about the low blocks and that if he does come to Chelsea, because the type of chances I see us creating, we create a wide range of chances, bro. Right? Crosses. I know Gyokeres, again, in the air is not the best, but we create, crosses. We play through the midfield. We play from both sides of our wings. There's going to be many chances going to be getting in this team if he comes. But with Arsenal,
in fairness, I said Arsenal. I didn't mention Chelsea.
Okay.
I don't mind. I think he actually would be a better fit for Chelsea as well.
Yeah, with Arsenal, you're right. Like, I think with Sesko, he does seem to have a little bit more about him on the ball, innit? I can't lie. He runs the channels quite well. He's not slow either. That's one thing about Sesko, and he does know how to smack a ball, innit? But if you're a Guna right now, you've probably got PTSD. You're probably looking at it right now, thinking, bro, why does this guy want to take a...
I think as well, it's this whole thing about the power struggle between Berta and Arteta. And I spoke to Ben Jacobs about this today, who had a perspective on it, which is very much Berta gets pushed around by no one. The club, like Gyokeres, and the stories that they've been working on it are very likely to be true. But they've gone through the data, they've discussed it together. They've probably had some heated professional arguments, and they've all decided that Sesko is the right guy. He said it's a bit of a sort of a fan theory that, Berta said this is the right guy, and Arteta's thrown his toys out the pram, and the Cronkies have sided with Arteta. And I don't know. Listen, that's probably distracting more people away from these deals. And then what you get is this sort of argument of, well, I hate Arteta. I want Berta to get the power. So therefore, I'm going to hate on Sesko. I'm going to overanalyze Sesko because that's not what I wanted. And look, proof's going to be in the pudding. And the thing is, we will do this. We do it as fans. Someone's going to win the transfer. Do you remember how much West Ham won the transfer window last year? There's not
I'm
a dig.
the only one who said West Ham hype, and I had him finishing in the bottom half of the table, and I was right. And Lawless came at me for that. You remember that, Lawless?
Man United window got like, I remember rivals going, United are moving like a serious club. This is the thing. We're not going to know until games start to be played. But one thing I'd say about both Gyokeres and Sesko is they both score goals that they make themselves. Now, Sesko not as much as Gyokeres, but they both have the ability to pick the ball up 20 yards out and do something. Sesko from distance especially. They both can get the ball at the edge of the box. And you think, right, what we're going to do here? They can create half a yard and put the ball into the back of the net. Again, would Sesko be scoring more if he was in Portugal? Probably, because I think it's a slightly easier league. But when I watch them both finish, and especially when I watch Gyokeres finish, the amount of times he's got one-on-ones and he'll put that ball into the bottom corner with so much power.
It just bangs it. Like,
he's amazing, bro.
Hitting the ball is hitting the ball.
What's so impressive about it as well, Terry, right, is how accurate he gets it with the power. Like, he's got such a... It's the way he angles his body, like, you know, he gets his foot over the ball. You know what I mean? Like, there's no backlift on it as well. Man just slaps it. Even his penalties as well.
He's the best striker in the world in doing that, Don. In terms of strikers that can run at defenders with the ball, and then, as you said, get the exact angle and place it. I think there's no one that does it better.
One of his Champions League goals. One of his Champions League goals I watched him score. I think Sporting lost the game. They started him on the bench for some reason. It was after Ruben left. And he gets the ball maybe 30 yards out to the left-hand side of the opponent's box. And he's just dribbling at the centre-back. The centre-back's pushing backwards. No crazy skills, just shoulders and a bit of bobbing and weaving almost. And he creates half a yard of space on to his left foot. He's maybe 15, 16 yards out at a slight angle. And he hits it with his left foot. And it just... I'm probably over-exaggerating now, saying it went straight into the top corner on the left, but it was high in the goal. And I just looked at it and I laughed when it happened. And I just went, yeah, I don't have a striker that can do that. And that was, for me, was when I was watching him because I wanted him at United. That's what I'm looking at and saying, that's the difference between Man United this season being 15th and being in the top 8 in terms of with everything else being natural. When you have a goal scorer of that level, it changes your season. Every single club. And listen, this is what Arsenal fans have got to hope Sesko does. This is what Liverpool fans want the likes of Wirtz and Ekitike to do. When you have a goal scorer, someone that can score on a lesser, not even a lesser level, it's what Bowen's been doing at West Ham for 2 or 3 seasons. He comes up every season with GA of 20 to 30. It changes a campaign. You know, and Bomo's done it at Brentford this year. Now, they're a mid-table team, but without him, they'd practically be a relegation team. They change the course of clubs because they're so good at putting the ball in the back of the net. And yeah, look, it's going to be an interesting one to see where they go. So
he's won league titles, right?
He has. Well, it was a penalty. It was a penalty the other day, but that penalty he took, 100th minute of the game. If he misses, the final whistle goes and Benfica win a trophy. Of course, huge rivals of Sporting, and he buries it. And they then go on to win 3-1 from that point. And yes, it's a penalty. But at that moment, under that pressure, cut final, it just shows you, it tells me he can handle some pressure as well. And he's won 2 league titles. He's got 120% output ratio to the games he's played in. He's decent on the ball. He can create his own goals. Listen, I said it earlier on in the show. I say it again. It won't be easy because we don't have the pool that we once had. But I love Gyokeres at Man United. But I think he'd be a good fit for Arsenal. I think he'd be good anywhere he goes. I think he's going to score goals wherever.
You could get him. I think you could get him if Chelsea don't go in and they're happy with what they've got. Arsenal.
Yeah, no, I agree. But that's also why I want us to move early. I think it's.
So you think we can get Gyokeres, but we can't get Mateta?
No, it's all about context. You can't get Gyokeres, I think, if Chelsea or Arsenal. But I'm saying if they come out, Amarim's got the link. I think
Amarim had the link for Quenda. Quenda told him, "Kiss my ass, man." You know what I mean? I ain't trying to play wing back.
That's how you think Quenda sounds.
Terry ain't even got a response. Terry ain't even got a response, bro.
You may have to play the patient game.
I didn't know we put a bid in.
No, you wanted this guy, bro. You were heavily interested.
I wanted him.
And you rejected your ass.
Where did we put a bid in?
You didn't put a bid in, but you were highly interested in him, bro. And he turned you down. He didn't want to play wing back.
Oh, we offered in personal terms. Where's that written?
Broski, Ornstein put out the bomber that you guys were heavily interested in Quenda.
Yeah, no.
You like a thief in the night.
I'm asking. I'm not trying to trip you up. Can you show me where Man United offered in terms, please? Can you show me the link? I want to read it.
I just told you what it was. It was heavy interest.
Yes,
And
can you show me the link? Show it to me.
Okay, I'll show it to you right now then.
Show me the link.
Let me DM it to you right now.
Yeah, I want to read.
He did not want to play this because he
You
didn't
know
want to play
about this.
wing
You
back.
know about this, sorry.
He didn't want to play wing back.
You didn't want to play wing back, bro.
I'm just winding you up. Don. I read the report as well. I'm just winding you up.
Oh.
No, I agree. And but this is why as well, just having a manager, and I agree with you. He didn't want to play in that position. He wanted to play, he wants to be a winger. And that's also why this is why does the club have Paul? Yes. But context is so important. What role can you offer people as an example? Because I think Chelsea have got Delap. Yes, Champions League has played a part, but I also think it's because they've promised him that he's going to be a starting 9. I think if they said to him, you are going to be on the bench because we're signing Gyokeres as well, or we're signing Arteta, but Man United were offering him starting place, I think he may have picked us. It isn't always about Paul as in whose club's in the best moment this season, because football changes quickly. Let's have it right. Football changes quickly. It's about the package, the squad status, the salary also plays a big part in this as well. So I'm not surprised. Like, there'll be a player like Quenda that I want to play on the wing. Well, Man United aren't going to have wingers. We're going to have fullbacks and 10s. So it makes total sense. Is that a rejection? Like, I ain't playing for you. I ain't going to that club because the club's shit. No, I don't take it in that way. I would completely and utterly understand that. So it's not really an issue for me.
By the way, breaking news.
It was more your system shit. That's what it was.
Breaking news from Ben Jacobs. Newcastle's Champions League football doesn't give him an edge over Manchester United in the race for Brian Mbeumo. The likes of Cunha and Mbeumo are more interested in a long-term project than just European football.
Well, and plus, they're coming straight into
Kiss
start,
my
right?
ass, Lawless. We're moving on.
Like Terry said, but again, this is all context. And I never said you haven't got Paul because you're shit now. It's all context of where they are. Isak is gettable for a lot of clubs if Newcastle don't get champions. Isak is the main man.
You know what's that?
Allow it, bro.
No, but what I'm saying is, Mbeumo, I think it makes
Just allow
more
it.
sense for him. I'm just saying it makes sense for him to go to Man United if he's going to start over being second choice at Newcastle. It makes more sense.
But
right?
it wouldn't be second choice. Well, again, I think he's a better right. This is the thing, right? As well, this is a great point to what Don just said. Like, we've got a system thing. Like, you have a system thing because if you guys were trying to sign 10s, like Man United got more chance of signing 10s because we have 2 10 positions in our team. So we could actually go for 2 starting 10s. You guys can't go for 1 because Palmer plays there. So if this is why, again, did Man United get Cunha because we've got more Paul than Chelsea and Arsenal? No. It's because we have 2 spots for their roles, in Mbeumo and Cunha and players that sit in that role, where you guys have already got Palmer. So it's, there's already players that play in that role for Liverpool. So it helps us because we've got an opening berth. So with Quenda, I get it. If we were playing 4-2-3-1 and Ruben was our manager, I'd have fancied our chances of getting a player that knows him as an example. Equally, though, the only thing, the reason I don't want to sign too many players from Palace is we're going to go down that road of, does Amorim know how to scout and not signing all these old players? It's funny how that's disappeared, isn't it, Staffy? That little narrative's gone. But there we go.
It doesn't fit right.
Wayne here says also age doesn't mean inexperienced. Sesko has played 130. I will say Sesko's about to turn 23 in the end tomorrow. I think he turns 23 tomorrow, right? I swear it's the end of May that Sesko turns 23. I could be a liar. No, he turns 22 tomorrow. So he's turning 23 next year. And now I remember a certain Marcus Rashford being 22, 23, and people going, he ain't a youngster anymore. He's been playing for 5-6 years. So again, Sesko is not a baby. I agree with you. The pressure's on. Sesko is 175 centimeters. He's almost as tall as Mertesacker. I think you mean Mertesacker there. Mertesacker. I can see why Arteta likes him.
You should get Andy Carroll.
Last one from me, unless Don and Lawless talk more crap. That's not a guarantee with these signings. Mbappe was signed for Real Madrid and didn't win anything. This is true.
He agreed with me in his last super chat. So I know what he's talking about, but keep him coming.
People need to understand that Sesko plays in a team that ranks at the bottom of the table in chances created and still outperforms his XG.
Wayne is fighting for his life. He's doing the prop.
He's fighting, This guy must have been on White Scout, all week.
No. Shout out Wayne. There's a very good super chat, Wayne. I appreciate people who actually like to use some stats.
No, he's just like he sent so many messages about why Sesko's gonna be.
That must be one of his
Supporter of our
clients.
show. You're gonna shame him for trying to prove a point.
No. Listen, I welcome it. I'm just laughing.
That must be one of Wayne's clients, man. A use agent. You're selling him to Arsenal.
Shout out Wayne.
It's important to point out progress isn't linear. Sesko, with a few tweaks in the right environment, would explode. Likewise, could not, so long as the board have made a collective decision. And that's this is the thing with it as well. Like, we can all judge ahead of time, but if he goes in there and he smashes it next year and scores 25 league goals and Arsenal win the league, it's going to be looked at as a genius decision. If he goes in there and scores 10 goals, Arsenal come fourth, but Gyokeres ends up at Man United and scores 35. By the way, this is a hypothetical. I don't think this is going to happen. Just want to put that out there for anyone who gets triggered. Goes in and scores 30 goals, 35 league goals. Cunha's killing it, and Man United go crazy and come third with one game a week. They'll be hell to pay at Arsenal if do you know what I'm saying? Or if he goes Chelsea and Chelsea win the league because Gyokeres scores 35 goals and they get with Sesko. So listen, this feels like this summer there's going to be a lot of decisions. I mean, even with Liverpool, we're all praising Liverpool's transfers, and I think they're great. Imagine Wirtz goes and flops, and they spend all their money on it, and they end up coming third. Yeah, and this is the thing. This is what can happen. A lot of signings look good on paper and don't turn out. Some signings look crap and they end up being brilliant. Who lies best with stats? Spurs fan Will. Do you know what? I get on with Will, but I didn't see that man on a stream for 5 months, and then he turned up this week after they won a trophy. I just thought, nah, ain't happening. Don't get it twisted. I prefer Gyokeres, is what Wayne says here.
Yeah, Wayne, you lost me there, bro. I defended you for no reason.
Arteta fans comparing second in the Olympics to second in the league. I don't know what you mean.
Oh, you didn't see that? So they were mocking Henry because he celebrated with the French team winning the silver medal in the Olympics. And it's completely stupid because Olympic culture is not the same thing as football culture. Like in football, you don't celebrate finishing second in the league. In the Olympics, you finish if you get with any medal. It's always been an Olympic culture. Like there's people that train for 20 years to just get a bronze medal. You can't tell them not to celebrate. So to me, that's crazy. It's another taint on this Arsenal fan base. I swear, every day I feel like they're ruining the sport in front of my eyes. Now they're trying to say that
I saw your tweet about that, right? And I will say I get where you're coming from.
It's embarrassing, bro.
But what I will say is this: don't you think it's a response? For instance, because you called this out the other day, you were like, "Hang on, how are Chelsea being mocked for winning a trophy that Arsenal get mocked for not winning?" So Arsenal will be mocked. So do you get my point? Where it's these things of Arsenal used to get mocked for winning FA Cups and celebrating being in top four. Now they mock other people. They're being told they're ruining the sport. This hasn't started.
So this all happened because of their internal beef. They have an internal beef right now. When Henry called out on the overlap, saying I forgot what he exactly said, but he just was saying like he's not happy with Arsenal finishing second every year. Yeah, so they're mocking him, saying, "But you celebrated finishing second in the Olympics."
There was this tweet that says Thierry Henry is so toxic, it's just like a plague. He is so jealous of Mikel Arteta that he will do anything in his position. But I am glad it's never going to happen. When given the opportunity, he showed the world he is everything but a great coach. Fouled lamentably. I don't even know what that means. But as Arsenal fans are turning on Thierry Henry.
He can't call himself. You can't call yourself an Arsenal fan if you're treating Henry like. Without Henry, they would be Everton right now. They would like the amount that guy has done for them. Arteta could only dream of giving Arsenal fans at the fraction of the joy that Henry has given them. Forget about Invincibles and Premier Leagues and doubles and all of that stuff. It does not happen without Thierry Henry. Any fan that turns on one of their legends because they are critical of the current regime is no fan at all. I don't care if one of my legends, they've earned the right to have any opinion they want on even if I don't agree with it. To turn on someone like that is disgusting. You're not an Arsenal fan if you do that. You're a plastic. And that guy is. I think
they just can't deal with the reality, Lawless, and that's the difference. Like, there's some people that get offended when you tell them the truth. It's like if we're on a night out and I'm like, "Yo, Lawless, put some deodorant on because you don't smell good," and then you get offended that I told you that. Instead, you should be thanking me because I'm watching out for you. For you to be upset that your club legends coming out and saying like it's not acceptable to finish second every year, and you're turning on him. It's crazy. Why are you laughing, Terry? It's a thing. Some people don't do that.
Yeah, the thing is, and I've still got beef with Henry for knocking out Ireland in the qualifiers with his hand.
Oh yeah, there you go. Remember that.
So I'm not even biased. I think he's an excellent pundit. He speaks facts, and he's speaking facts here. And I think if you've got a problem with that, then you're a fake Arsenal fan, and you're an Arteta fan. You're an Arteta fan, and I hate manager fans.
Can I say something on this? I don't think Arteta has done anything wrong. I feel that he sat on the fence a little bit. Because he's kind of said, I'm Arsenal in, I'm not Arteta in or Arteta out. I feel like that's a little bit of a cop-out from a pundit. Because at the moment, he's working as a pundit. I think that's a bit of a cop-out. You don't need to be Arteta in or Arteta out as in that jovial sense. But do you think he's the right man to take Arsenal forward this season, next season? Yes or no? You can answer that without being in one of those camps. But I know it's very hard. But I think what he said is right. I think, because I've criticised Arteta for the last couple of years for not winning trophies and not being in finals. So I'm not going to sit here and go, Henry's wrong for doing it. What I find interesting in this debate is the dichotomy, because most Arteta outers are also Standards FC. Would you guys agree generally? On social media front, we're talking?
Yeah, there's a degree of that, yeah.
A degree. Those are the same fans that you always say things like, don't be attached to managers or players. It's always about the club. So therefore, based on that logic, slagging off a legend is fine, right? Because they're just a paid employee of the club. They're just a player. And they're no longer part of the club and whatever else. That's what I love.
The standards.
No, I'm not agreeing with them. I'm not agreeing with them. I'm pointing out, as an outsider watching, I love watching these fights because people end up reversing their logic because someone says something they agree with because it shits on a manager they don't like or a player they don't like. They would be like, how dare you speak to one of our legends? But yet when a legend comes out and says, we've got to stand by this manager, it's like, don't side with him even though he's a legend. They're just a paid employee. They don't care about the club. They're being paid to do it or whatever it may be. That's what I love about these debates. It's not about defending Arsenal, condemning. I agree with what Henry said. I think the way some Arsenal fans spoke about him is wrong. What I find beautiful, just as a human being, to sit back, I don't literally get the popcorn out, but I like scrolling and I start watching and hang on, you said this 2 months ago. Now you've gone the opposite way because this narrative from an ex-player like feeds your confirmation bias. I find it brilliant. And that's what a lot of this is online.
The actual message.
And this is it, right? This is it. AS says it here. Staffy needs to accept modern football culture for what it is. Trust me, it will do wonders for your blood pressure. And this is the thing. Arsenal fans right now, I've seen, well, and what he's talking about is that this is what it's about. Football fans just want a lot of football fans online. So this isn't all of us, but this is a lot online. They want their agenda and their point of view to be true. So they will hypocrisize themselves. They'll go against their original logic just to seek that confirmation bias to go there. I said it earlier. Arsenal fans did get mocked for 20 years for picking up domestic trophies and not win. I don't know what's going on with Don, man. This man has got to get himself proper gear to be a YouTuber, man. I tell you. But
he's been doing this for a while too.
They would get mocked for 20 odd years for winning domestic trophies and being in title races and finishing in the top four, but not winning the major leagues. And then what they see is other clubs do the same thing and it gets celebrated and it gets sort of applauded and told, wow, that is amazing. So I then get why they'll be salty and kick back and go, hang on a minute. We were told this was failure. We were told the X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
but that's because the media do this as well. The media will pick and look, in the 3 weeks leading up to the Europa League final, all we heard about was standard of the competition was low. No team from it should get into the Champions League. It's an horrendous competition. There has not been one article or talking point in a week and a half since the final. Not one. Because no one really cared. It was just a way of planting a seed. If Man United would have won it, that seed had been planted. That's all we'd be hearing about right now as an example. There'd be talk of, maybe Palace should get it because they won a bigger competition or a harder competition because they beat a team of City standard in the final as an example. So I get it. Why some Arsenal fans feel like this on this talking point, but I'm going to be as real as I always can be on it. Henry is right in what he's saying. There has to be pressure on Mikel Arteta to win trophies for the football club. That pressure has to exist. He can't have a free ride forever. And I think most Arsenal fans believe in it. But like always, that fan that wrote that tweet we put up, they are the same people as the staunch Arteta routers. No matter what he does, it'll never be good enough. For those guys, the inners, no. he could fail to the cows come home, and it will never be a big enough failure for them to sack him, because both those groups of Arsenal fans just want to be able to say, I was right. That's all it's not about Arsenal getting better or worse. It's not even about Arsenal winning trophies anymore. And by the way, it's a very small percentage of Arsenal fans. They're just very, very noisy online. And I think a lot of our fan bases have this now. I see Man United fans who are so desperate for Ruben Amorim to foul because they predicted he would at the beginning. And like I was in a group chat yesterday. It wasn't KJ. Somebody asked an Arsenal fan, a United fan in a group chat with, would you sell Bruno Fernandes if it meant Amorim goes? And they wouldn't even answer the question, because it was a paradox for them. They don't want Bruno to leave, but they want Amorim gone. So they wouldn't even answer the question. It's all become about ideology as opposed to what's best for someone's football club. And what's best for Arsenal is to put pressure on a manager to win the trophies. Now the rebuild has been complete for 2 years. So yeah, I'm a bit of a loss really when they're attacking one of their legends. Equally, a lot of the people saying you shouldn't be attacking him, they're the same guys that have been attacking Ian Wright and other legends for years now because they've backed Arteta. So don't come out with the legend nonsense.
The thing is, I think it's fine to disagree and criticize their opinion. I don't know if the Arteta outers have been, abusing Wrighty, calling him a washed-up failure. He's a crap pundit, like they've been saying about Henry in his managerial career. I don't know if they've been doing that. And that is the difference. I feel like these people are manager fans, and we're seeing that a lot. They're Arteta fans over Arsenal fans. Like for me, I will have an opinion that I think a manager, like right now, I defend Graham Potter, right? I think he should be given a chance, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not a Potter fan. If someone goes and says Potter's rubbish, or a legend, I'm not going to sit there and go on the defensive and go blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't get manager fans over club fans. And that's what these people are. They're Mikel Arteta fans. They don't care about the club. He has won nothing for their club, and they go and shit on Henry like that. I think it's disgusting.
Yeah, but a lot of these guys haven't been there before, innit? They haven't been there when they were winning all these trophies and actually competing with the likes of Fergie and whatnot. So this is the best Arsenal they've ever seen. So to them, it's like, yo, if we get rid of this guy, what if we go back to the dark days, right? That's why there's a lot of these Arteta inners and a cult. It's a cult. Let's be real. It's a fucking cult following of whatever he does. They just blindly follow it. Whoever he signs, they just blindly follow it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like Terry said already, I've covered a lot of the takes I would have said. There's a bunch of people that whatever he does, they'll just consistently move the goalposts, innit? But next year, there can't be any context about anything. If he doesn't win the Prem or the Champions League, boy, he's got to go, bruv.
They'll come up with context. I'm just saying I haven't seen the Arteta outers abuse legends, so just that's what I'm saying. It doesn't mean it hasn't happened.
No, I mean I have it. You can go back as far as when I have seen it. I've been on shows. I've sat, especially Ian Wright. Ian Wright got a lot of stuff. Who's the lady? Alex Scott got a lot of shit. I've definitely seen a lot of that, and it's fine. You're allowed to do what you want. I'm not even annoyed that anyone's done it. I generally find it entertaining to then watch those same people go in the other direction. It's hilarious. Why is no one thinking Gyokeres could end up at Liverpool? Ahmed, we spoke about that earlier on in the show, my bro. We spoke about it. As Don, why do you argue Chelsea's midfield over Arsenal's when you concede more in transition, but your team scored less than Arsenal with an attack on life support?
We scored more in transition.
No, you conceded more in transition. That's what you're saying.
When you conceded more in transition, where did you get that from? Because last time I checked, West Ham fucking done you in the transition. There's been a couple of teams that have done you in the transition. So what are you talking about, right? When you go talk about the underlying metrics, I told Terry at the start of the season, I told him, bro, it's chances created, goals scored from midfield, and defensive metrics for the DM. Caicedo cleared everyone in your team. So you can keep fighting about your team, but the facts are you progress the ball at the same rate. Rulers wants that midfield eradicated. You know what I'm saying?
We have the worst midfield in the league,
Yeah, and they progress the ball at the same rate as that, bro. You know what I mean? Don't tell me nothing about Arsenal's midfield, but I can name many other teams away from Chelsea that have a better midfield than yours. But thanks for the £5.
Why are you so angry?
They just jar me, bro. They're just so deluded, man. So deluded. You need to go watch other teams. You need to go watch other teams other than your own, man. They've just got their Arsenal.
Whose midfield is better? Without debate, who do you think has a better midfield, Chelsea or Arsenal?
Bro, I said at the start of the season we've got a better midfield than theirs.
No, Terry.
Oh, Terry.
I'm pleading the fifth.
We don't have the fifth over here, Terry.
Why can't you answer the question?
I just don't want to.
You don't have an opinion. It's okay. We're not gonna hold you back to it, bro. Just give us an opinion.
Arsenal's.
Yeah, that's fine.
What? Why?
You already know he likes ugly footballers anyway, man.
It's not about what I like. It's about the team. I look at it this way, right? So I base it on because I'm consistent in my view. Individually, there's arguments in there because I think Caicedo is amazing. But I look at this. I think the midfield is the most important part of the team. Would we agree or disagree on that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's what I'm asking.
So I look at a team that has finished second, and been in 2 title races and dropped off in the last 3 seasons. That midfield has predominantly been there the whole time, with Rice coming in last season before the last one. Chelsea's come 4th this year, very, very good. Last year, what was it, 6th in the league? Until I see that engine room produce the performances on a consistent level to go above that midfield, I'm still going to marginally say Arsenal's. Individually, like Caicedo for me plays for Arsenal. There's elements of players that are there, but if I look at it as a collective, so I'm not looking at the sum of their. I think what a lot of people do when they look at whose team is better, like what midfield is better, what defense is better. I look at I'm not looking at the sum of the parts. I'm looking at the whole, and as a whole, their defensive record, their goal scoring record, their consistency in the league for 3 years is why I put theirs above them.
So why has Enzo won the ball back the most in the final third?
As I just
won the ball back more than Rice in the final third as well, by the way.
Don. I know, as I just said, I'm not talking about the sum of the parts. I'm talking about the collective.
So what?
So we all sit here and say the midfield. No, because I don't want to get into a debate. We all sit here and say
I don't agree with anything that you're saying, bro.
You don't need to agree. I don't want you to agree. I don't view midfielders on which you've got the better guy here, the better guy there. I'm looking at the sum of its parts. The sum of its parts is not what I review. I'm looking at it as a whole. So I don't care that Enzo's got a stat here that's better than Rice, or Odegaard does this better than Palmer, or Caicedo does this more than Partey. I'm not interested in that. If you're doing an individual player conversation,
it's not about individual player. It's a collective.
Exactly. So as a collective, we have all sat here and just said the midfield is the most important part of the team. So as a collective, the midfield that has been in 3 title races and come second 3 years running, I'm putting above a midfield that has just broken into the top 4.
So
they were in a title race this season, though. Don't say that.
Okay, well,
this is where your argument's lost, though. This is where your argument's lost. Because the first year that they competed, it was Granit Xhaka in their midfield, bro. He's gone.
Alongside who? Again, but there's
Thomas Partey. Hold on, Thomas Partey from 2 seasons ago has gone, right? No one in their right mind right now is picking Thomas Partey over Caicedo, right? You talk about individuals. I'm not even talking about our midfield as individuals. As individuals, they're great, but as a collective, they are great. As a collective, they have been great.
As a collective, well, again, I think a team coming 4th isn't great. I think it's very good.
But it's very good. Our midfield has done their job. It's not their fault Jackson keeps missing chances.
Well, that's not true. This is where I'm objective. I've been very fair with Chelsea this year. In a lot of those games where you were barely winning from December through to the end of the season, yes, you missed chances, absolutely. But I also saw that team get countered through time and time again and lose loads of games. I wouldn't say that was great. Again, I'm not saying they're clear of you. I'm not saying you're nowhere near them. You're misinterpreting. But when I review a midfield, I don't just look at it. You've got individual seasons or this player's better at this stat. I am looking at a body of work over a period of time. And yes, Arsenal have added players in, and your midfield has added players in the last 2 to 3 years. But collectively, they have done a better job in the last 3 to 4 years. It's as simple as that for me.
I don't understand how you can be sitting there still trying to prop up guys like Odegaard, talking to me about the history of what they've done 2 years ago when Granit.
Because that's what we're judging it on, Don. This is what we're judging it on.
You're talking about a team right now that's managed to finish 4th, and a big reason why is because of our midfield.
And your midfield is excellent. I've not said
the strongest. Hold on, bro. Hold on. Let me
finish your point.
That's been the strongest part. That's been the strongest part of our team. And like I said, ever since they got rid of Xhaka, they have lost that fluidity through their midfield, bro. They have lost that midfield, that fluidity through their midfield. If you go check where they mostly play, if you go check where they mostly play their football, it's on the right-hand side, bro. That midfield barely gets touched.
So this is the thing. So what we're saying is Arsenal came second last year, and we're in a title race to the last day of the season with a bad midfield. Are we saying that?
No, I thought their midfield last season was set up a lot better in the second half.
Well, that didn't have Granit Xhaka in it. The point I'm making, Don, because I'm not trying to convince you, like you're not trying to convince me. Let me just explain to you how I review things about best midfield. I would look at the best midfield the same way I'd review the best team. Who's been the best team in the Premier League this season? Liverpool. Who's been the best team in England the last 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, Man City.
Man City. I review departments of teams the same way as I review the overall team. I don't just look at one season unless they've been really, really close, and then this season they've surpassed them. I'm going to go on their side. I just look, if you're going to ask me for the body of work over a 3 to 4 year period, that is midfield I'm going to decide is the best. If next season,
let's just move on.
No, I'm not going to move on. If next season, okay, Chelsea continue to improve, your midfield does as well, if not better than this year, you concede less, you dominate more, you grow further up in the league, you get into that title race, and Arsenal is crumbling. You ask me in a year's time, my mind will change. I'm not, because it's my view of it is agile because I base it on what I'm seeing over a period of time, not just a snap jerk, like a snap reaction, or well, this stat for this guy is better and this stat for the other guy is better over there. I look at the collective. The midfield's the most important part of a team. So a team that has consistently come second and their midfield has been a fundamental part of how they play, I put it above a team that's come like 12th, 6th, and 4th, but you are getting better. What I have not done at any point, like you've done with Arsenal, I've not said one negative thing about your midfield. I'm just saying I put it slightly ahead of yours right now.
But hold on,
next season, you might overtake them. But very, very good.
You're talking about league position, but Arsenal had a better defensive record than Liverpool, but when Liverpool won the league. So it's irrelevant to really.
It's not, but it isn't irrelevant because Arsenal have one of the best defenses in the least over the last 3 years. They do,
and that's one of the major reasons why
the reason why they're second though is because the one department that I wouldn't put anywhere near Liverpool's is their attack. So because of their attack, I think midfield and defensively they're on par in the last 3 seasons with City and Liverpool by and large. The reason that they didn't win any of these titles in the last 3 years is they haven't had enough goals.
And I can say the same thing for us. The reason why we didn't finish higher in the league is because we didn't have enough goals.
And that's a great point. But again, I'm not saying nothing negative about Chelsea. You've just taken it very personally because you hate Arsenal.
I never said anything negative, but I just don't agree with the points that you were making, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I've come here with the facts. You're telling me about 2-3 years ago when fucking Granit Xhaka was playing in their midfield. I'm not hearing none of that, bro. You know what I mean? Well, anyway, some of these gooners are crying, bro. They're crying and
that's entirely up to you.
Keep crying more, man.
The reason why I don't like you, the reason I don't,
midfield more, man. Enjoy that midfield. I hope you don't get an attack in midfield.
Why are you?
Mendy is gonna bring all that creativity into your midfield, bro. You know what I mean? We don't need to seek validation from your midfield. Your midfield is dead, blood. It's dead.
Do you know what it is for me, Don? Right? Why I don't use your logic on like this stat for Enzo and this stat for Caicedo is because stats. I'm not saying they're misleading, but I use stat mob like I've seen you use before, and so I put in a player the other day like Garnacho, and Garnacho on that little spidergram, it came out on the same level as some really top wingers in the Premier League this year, and I'm sitting there going, see. If you've watched Garnacho compared to these guys, they haven't been anywhere near each other. Equally, I look at the collective because if next season there's a few stats that go in Arsenal's favor, but yet you're a better team, you win more points, you dominate more games, you're going to have to concede that Arsenal's midfield's better because some stats are better. Rather, let me finish. Rather than the midfield doing its actual job and making you a better football team, that should be the ultimate barometer. We've all said most important part of a team. So if the most important part of a team is helping to stabilize a side, to push them right up near the top of the table versus the team that's a bit more up and down, I can't put that midfield that's up near the top below the team that's up and down. I can't do it, mate.
The thing that you were talking about, I saw you guys getting run through. Regardless of seeing us getting run through, we finished the third best defense in the league, right? We finished with the third best defense in the league on our striker, factually. Finished with the worst conversion rate in the league. Yeah, Don. And what you're failing to comprehend. Hold on. You said
no, Don, because I can answer that very quickly. I can answer it, and it'll end the conversation. No, you don't need to finish. I'm going to answer it. Yes, I understand you've got the third defensive record. The difference is because of the way you criticize United and Arsenal, you do you're shit. I hate you guys. You're crap. That isn't how I'm analysing Chelsea. I've said nothing negative, nasty, or demeaning about your club. You have a very good midfield. You have a very good defensive record this year. You're a team that's growing that I've praised through lots of, barring a 3-month period where you needed to be criticized because you were poor. I've praised the first 4 months of the season, praised your last few weeks because you've become a very good team. I said you've come of age. I am not slagging your team off or saying it's crap
I never said you
or it's bad. But the way you're implying things, you're saying we got run through. We got one of the best defensive records.
That's what you're saying.
But what we're doing, we are No, you're missing it. We are nitpicking. We are nitpicking between two very good teams. I am not saying you're crap and they're great, but your brain is going, why is he saying we're crap?
You literally said there was a period where teams were running through you, and I said, okay, cool. Regardless of that period, we still have the third best defense in the league, right?
Yes.
And you want to talk about these stats and that, right? So let me ask you a question then. So you're telling me Enzo and Palmer's creative stats are fugazi then? They're not creative then, yeah?
No one said that at all.
So then why are you talking to me about stats can be misleading then? Who are you referring to?
So I gave you the example. I said that if you run Garnacho's data,
Garnacho don't play for Chelsea. We're talking about Enzo Fernandez.
I'm making a point. I don't just use stats. I don't just use Palmer's creative stats to go, yeah, definitely better than the collective. I look at the collective, and the barometer I look at for that is the consistency over a period of time of that team and that unit working together. And we're not just talking about the starting three as well. We're talking about the overall package that has been used, the whole midfield over a 2 to 3 year period. That is how I assess it. It's nothing to do with an individual, because Bruno Fernandez's individual stats as a midfielder have been clear of any other attacking midfield player, barring KDB for 5 years. And I wouldn't use that to go, we've got one of the best midfields out there. We haven't as a collective. It doesn't matter how good Man United stats are under Bruno's name. As a collective, our midfield for the past 3 to 4 years has been shocking.
So you're saying as a collective, our midfield's not been good there.
Sorry?
So you're saying as a collective, because you keep going back to this collective tape.
Yes.
You're saying as a collective, our midfield hasn't been good then.
No, this is you doing that weird polarizing thing. You've had I literally said a minute ago. I said your midfield has been very good. Did I not, Lawless? Did I not, Staffy? I said it's been very good.
Why do you keep going back as a collective?
Because we assessing that. You said which midfield is better. How can I not assess? Answer yourself this question. How can I not assess the midfield department of Chelsea and Arsenal as a collective when it's more than one person?
Yeah, but as a collective, it's been good. So I don't get the point that you're making.
I didn't say you weren't good. I just said theirs is marginally better.
Yeah, but I've factually told you the metrics that back up what I am telling you.
You're giving me individual player stats. Yeah? The conversation wasn't, do you think Cole Palmer's better than Odegaard? I would say yes. That wasn't the conversation. It was the collective. Giving me the individual stats of Palmer doesn't make the collective better. I think the performance of the team based on that midfield over a period of time gives you a better answer than data mob.
But Terry, when you break down our season, our biggest problem this season has been our finishing, right? It hasn't been our midfield.
I didn't say that. I didn't say your midfield.
Our midfield is the area. Our midfield is the area.
Your midfield is your biggest problem, Don. I didn't say it was your biggest problem. I didn't say it was your biggest problem. I said your attackers were.
Okay, Enzo has outperformed Rice. Palmer's outperformed Odegaard, and Caicedo's outperformed Partey, and he's outperformed Partey, bro. So I don't understand how you can still be talking about the collective. Fuck the collective, right? Of 2-3 years ago, because Xhaka's not there no more. Stop talking to me about guys that aren't even there no more. Right?
I haven't mentioned Xhaka's name once. Last
season, they played Declan Rice in the pivot at the second half of the season, and they looked a lot better, right? This season, I speak to many gooners who tell me how bad it is watching their team, right? How they have to prepare themselves to watch Arsenal. Because even me, when I have to watch Arsenal, I have to fucking prepare myself to watch that stale midfield, like. You know what I mean? But you keep thinking that midfield's good. And
again, they are. We all agree. We all agree. Midfield is the most important. This is where you let yourself down, because you say the midfield is the most important part of a team, and the team just came second in the Premier League and above you. So if the midfield is the most important part, and they came second, it has to at least be good. It can't be dog shit if it's at that level.
I think it's still, isn't it? I think it's still. I think there's better midfield.
And that's fine.
There's better midfields in the league that are finished lower than Arsenal.
And Don, that's fine. That's absolutely Don.
For example, Newcastle.
Don,
I think these guys are better midfields. They're finished lower.
And that's absolutely fine for you to think that. I gave you my rationale and my reasoning. You don't have to agree with it. I'm not overly bothered. The only thing I would say to you in terms of your performance in that debate is you did what Lawless did earlier. Why are you saying we're no good? Why are you not doing this? Why don't you care about that? You said things that I didn't say, Don, which would tell me you're reaching, bro.
No, I'm not reaching, because you literally said oh, the reason why I think Arsenal's midfield is better is because they perform better as a collective. And I'm like, well, no, as a collective, our midfield has factually outperformed theirs. So I don't understand how you can be saying
but it hasn't, in my opinion.
Okay, but I've got all the metrics to back it up. You don't. Now you don't know use stats. Now you don't know use stats. I told you the metrics. You asked me this question.
But this isn't true. Don. This is what you're doing again, though.
I'm only going off of your words. You asked me start of the season, and I told you what my metrics were to judge the midfield. And
that's fine. But that's your metrics.
I told you.
You're allowed your metrics. I haven't said you can't have those metrics. I haven't said you've got to think like me. I haven't said that at all. I've said not one bad thing about your club. I haven't said you should change how you think. I haven't said your metrics are wrong. You're allowed to do what you want to do. You asked me my opinion, and you're triggered about it. And you've lied about things I've said. I didn't say that your midfield was bad. And all of this along those lines. At the end of the day, you've got a very, very good midfield that has closed the gap on Arsenal this year. There is no doubt about it. I'm not going to judge that a department of a club based on just one season. I look over a period of time. If you said to me now, Terry, is it possible we overtake them next year? Yes, it is. Again, it's not about defending anyone, but I'm looking at the body of work. And it's not about the individual stats. Stats are important because I use them, but I'm also going to quote yourself back to you. I have eyes. I have eyes. You say that on so many streams. I have eyes.
And if you have eyes, you would know that before fucking Christmas, we were playing some of the best football in the league. Right?
Yes, you were. And then you went through 3 months. And then you went through 3 months.
One of the major reasons why is because of our midfield.
And then you went through 3 months of not playing the greatest. And again, like I said, you're a very good team. I said you're a very good team. So don't sit here and just say it's about stats when you say you've got eyes. It's about looking at both things. Let's go back to some of these super chats. Guys, we're going to go to some of these super chats here now, people. We're going to go to some of these super chats here, people. There's quite a lot of them to get through. Very validation seeking from Don there. I'm not going to lie.
No, I just like to cook people that still come with these meaty takes about Arsenal's midfield, bro. I'm telling you. I like to cook people, man. It's never just about Chelsea. And you want to debate? I can debate about Villa's midfield being better. I can debate about Newcastle's midfield.
All you've got to do when you debate, Don, is not say things that people haven't said. I didn't say your team was bad. That was in your head. That was your cognitive dissonance. When I see Don, I immediately think Dunning-Kruger effect. Don, you don't know football better than the rest of us who watch the same matches and read the same articles and stats. Relax yourself.
Cry more, man. Love for the money, though.
Arsenal midfield had to play European games too because they were in the real competition. Let's see how they stack up when they play more games in a higher comp. It's a fair point.
Yeah, man.
Would you on a real level, would you say that's a fair point that it was easier for Chelsea for stages of season because you could rotate more for European games? Would that give you an advantage in the Prem?
That give us an advantage. Ask me the question again.
So you only playing one serious game a week for most of the season.
Oh, that lawless you lost.
Versus a team that was playing Champions League and Premier League. Would that give you an advantage over them?
Bro, we're calm in midfield. We've got Santos there. We've got Asugo there. We're going to be performing the same way.
Okay. Caicedo is the worst shooting DM in the top 6. No shot selection or technique is what Frey says here.
You see how skunks these guys are, bro. This guy's not familiar with Caicedo, the way he slaps it in outside the box. You're not familiar, bro.
Okay, somehow our midfield is bad, but we're second. Got to a Champions League semi-final. Don, the Champions League will teach you a lot of teams a lesson on why Arsenal, Liverpool, City are the best of the English.
You've got the best midfield in the league, man. Shit, man. It's great.
Don needs Terry to buy a spa day after this conversation. That's good. Do they teach reading comprehension over there in England? It's not frigging 2 to 3 years ago. It was consistently over a 3-year period, including this year. It's just how I assess football. It's how I assess football. Teams, departments, and even players. I won't ever just see one player just have a standout season and go, yeah, he's been a better player in the Prem than Salah. Because I'm going to look at the body of work over a period of time. Always going to do it. Always will. Don is an expert in revisionism. Too bad that revisionism is so poor. A poor substitute for critical thinking is what Aya says here. So Don didn't revise anything. He gave you the same metrics at the beginning of the season. It's just I don't see it the same way he does, and it's fine. Lawless needs to accept that he's old. Those young fans don't hold sentiment for legends like folks like us who watch them.
Listen, I revered legends from the 60s and 70s, and I was nowhere near born then. So you have to watch them.
Don's aggression stinks of a man 5'5" or shorter. He's not 5'5". I've been around Don. He's about the same height as me. No way that he is pressed by Terry's decision. I wouldn't also say Don was aggressive either, just to say.
Exactly, bro.
Two people
I mean? I'm sure when you're talking to your boys and that, you probably get heated yourself. You know what I mean?
Nothing wrong with getting a bit heated.
Found Don's trigger point, attack his midfield. Maybe that's what has been discovered here. Just say.
Oh, mate, believe me, we had it in the group chat. Newcastle midfield.
Join late, Don. Where can you find the best duo stat?
I don't know about that. Go do your research, man.
Yes, it's a collective, and Arsenal's collective has consistently been better than Chelsea's. Jesus Christ, both conceded less and outscored.
Bro, if you think your midfield is up there, keep believing it. I know what I watch when I watch your team, bro. You know what I mean?
Can I ask you a question then? Answer one question for me. If their midfield, forget 3 years ago when Xhaka was here, if their midfield is so meaty and poor, how they managed to be second in the league 2 years running and maintain, they fell off this year more for their goals and lack of attack. But if the midfield's so bad and it's the important part of a football team, how has a bad midfield been able to do that?
Bro, number one, as a starting point, the strongest part of their team is their defense, right? Like I've told you before, their defense helps them stay.
Not the midfield in Arsenal's case. They're not the midfield in Arsenal's case.
I don't think their midfield's the strongest part of their team. No, I think it's their defense. And they proved it again. They literally got the best defense in the league. And when I talk about their defense, these guys will be, oh yeah, facts. Because when I talk about your defense, I've got nothing but good things to talk about when I talk about your defense. I like Saliba. I like Gabriel. I like Skelly. I bigged up Skelly many times. I bigged up Timber many times, right? I said Timber's gonna be an upgrade on Ben White, right? I spoke about Ray. As much as I don't like his height, I've said he's not a bad keeper. He's actually a good keeper, right? So, boy, I'm not saying this because I'm a Chelsea fan. I'm just speaking about what I watch when I watch these guys. And I'm sorry, there's many midfields in the league that I prefer over these guys, bro. Just simple as that.
Wirtz, Maka, and Gravenberch, where do they rank?
Probably that.
I mean, yeah, I mean, look, it's a hard one to judge because Rodri's got to come back. But as a collective, I mean, that looks like it's going to be amazing. So it's going to be absolutely amazing. Sesko will be another Højlund. Good.
Yeah. People forget Højlund was highly rated.
I hate when people go by demographics on why they judge a player. I heard people saying Mateta's another Lukaku. Now I'm hearing this guy's another Højlund. Did they just look at white and black players and just say they're going to be that? It pisses me off. Mateta plays nothing like Lukaku, and they think he's Lukaku.
No, but I think the point is Højlund was very highly rated when he came to Man United.
He wasn't as good as Sesko. Sesko played 33 games this season. Højlund, when we bought him, to be fair, we were idiots. We bought him. He played only 17 games that season.
Sorry, we've already done the super chat, man.
Yeah, only 17.
Why Arteta didn't have Arsenal score 91 and 89 goals before injuries? Saka, Odegaard, Nelly, Kai Havertz, Rice and Merino scored their highest number of goals under Arteta. This is true. I keep hearing Sesko will take a few seasons to be a world beater. My concern is whilst we're waiting for no major trophy that top players could leave. Paul, you're right on that. That genuinely should be a fear and a concern. DJ here calling out you, Lawless. Lawless, you had a lot to say about Chelsea not making top four and not beating Real Betis. Tell big up for holding your hands up. I would say holding my hands up. I said you'd win for fuck's sake, and I said you make the top four.
I told you. All these guys were wrong, by the way. They said we're going to lose.
And can you bring up the form table? I did bring the form table up, but I also was right. If your performances didn't improve, you wouldn't have won. I was right, bro. Let's just have it right.
Very good. Terry said we're going to win the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good saying.
I need Berta to put Sesko off joining us. Tell him it's always rains here, and the team food is poor when the dog has fleas, and the team bus toilets are always blocked. TJD says, when we are going to have the conversation that Chelsea's women's team bowed their men's team out more than Arsenal's winning the Champions League. Without the Sal, they couldn't even compete in Europe.
Shout out to the women, man.
I do see a lot of Arsenal fans using the Arsenal women's team as that. Oh, we've got a UCL now. No,
It's their copium. That's their copium.
Yeah, like, we've got a UCL. We've got a Champions League now. Like they never watched a single game of the women's team.
Did you see that video of Robbie singing it, bro? The way he was singing it, it didn't even seem natural. Broski knows that that's not
forced.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Igal was bragging about it in the chat. I expect Igal to be at every women's team, at every women's game next season, or else he's a phony.
They're different. They're different teams. They're different teams. If you really
if my club only had a Champions League because of the women, I'd be there. Wallahi, I'll just watch their games.
Yeah, that's how starving they are. They're absolutely starving for European glory.
This here says, United banter aside, we need to start looking at these transfers from the player's point of view and not fans. As a player playing for Crystal Palace, getting an offer from United is a huge deal. I don't say that to Lawless and have a meltdown. Never seen you that angry, Terry. Good on your son. Oh, no, I've been much angrier before on the terrace. Don't worry about that, mate. Your defense is as good as your midfield. Remember Liverpool with Endo versus Gravenberch. Yeah, I do agree. I think a defense that's very good has a very good midfield in front of it, by and large. I think that they're one of the same, because I feel that if you've got a weak midfield that leaks too much, the midfielders then get dragged out. But this is why Man United's defenders have also struggled a lot over the years. They get dragged out of position so much because their midfield's so easy to play through. So it has a knock-on effect. So there is a collective there that when you've got a very good midfield, it helps your backline, no doubt.
Of course it does.
Guess midfield has nothing to do with defending. It's what Wayne says here.
Yeah, I guess our midfield has got nothing to do with our defending, because only yours and Liverpool's team had a better defense than ours, bro.
Your midfield's very good, though. Like we said, though, we said it's very good.
Yeah, I know, but he keeps trying to prop his thing, bro. If you believe that yours is better, just accept, okay, cool, whatever. Yours is better. Better. Okay?
I said the same to you. You're the one who keeps going on about it.
No, me and you were debating.
Keep saying that, but then he's just been debating for like 45 minutes.
No, me and Terry were debating. I'm not debating with Wayne. If he believes that, let him believe that.
Well, I would debate with you. I want to show you something.
I don't know. You're picking on Wayne today.
I want to do an eye test versus stats thing here. Okay, so we're gonna do this now for a laugh. Which color, yellow, green, blue, or purple, is Cole Palmer?
Oh,
Palmer. Palmer is.
I think it's green.
Palmer can't be yellow because he didn't score. Oh wait, that's non-penalty goals.
Is this season? Yeah,
this season.
I'm gonna say I think green. Surely
Palmer is either green or purple.
I think it's the green one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's green.
Green. So which color is Pedro Neto?
Pedro Neto's blue.
Okay.
Neto will probably say blue.
Which color is Alejandro Garnacho?
Ooh, I didn't know Garnacho was in this. You should have told us all four names.
No, that's the point.
Carries.
That's the point.
Sorry.
You know what? Then Garnacho is green and Palmer's purple.
Okay. And what color is Rafinha?
Ooh, Rafinha is yellow.
Yeah,
Rafinha has to be probably yellow.
Okay.
XG8 assists.
So Rafinha yellow, Palmer purple, Neto blue, and Garnacho green. Okay, so what I can reveal to you is you got Rafinha right, he's yellow. Pedro Neto is purple. Alejandro Garnacho is the blue one. Palmer is the green one.
You guys changed.
This is what happens, right? This is what I mean by just using data like that. As soon as I mentioned Garnacho's name, you guys had Palmer right. You were spot on. I mentioned Garnacho and your brain went, no way he's dribbled that much. So I've got to change it. See, this is what I mean by the numbers versus what we see are different.
No, but no one goes to the numbers first. I use my eyes first, and then I go to the numbers, bro. You're showing me the numbers.
You did. You went to the right numbers, right? Because your eyes were right, and then another player skewed your vision. That's why you've got to look at both.
No, I do look at both. I look at my eyes first.
Exactly.
I use my eyes first, and then I use the numbers. You will show me the numbers first.
I'm just showing you.
Then I'm using my eyes.
But you've already used your fucking eyes. You've watched them play this season. You already used your eyes.
I have watched them play. Yes, I have.
Exactly. So you use your eyes.
I'm looking at a graph without a name next to it.
So Neto has more assists than Palmer this season.
It's to see that your eyes match the numbers. That's the point.
Wait, Terry, was that Premier League or all comps?
That's in their respective leagues.
Neto has more assists than Palmer.
I think it does, you know.
It says this not to
Palmer,
have. I know Palmer has like 8.
I only grabbed it off of data, MB. That's it.
Hold on. Let me check this.
I don't think it's that crazy.
The point is, this is what I mean by the eye test versus the numbers. This shows you that Garnacho is on par with those players this season. He fucking hasn't been, has he?
Nah.
That's why I'm saying you got to look at more than just numbers, eye test and collective.
Yeah, but if you talk about the eye test, Enzo and Palmer are better than both their attacking midfielders.
Yes, but then you've got to look, then you look at the again. It's not about your midfield. I'm saying by and large, I'm not going to go. United's attack's better because look, statistically, Garnacho was up there with Palmer and Rafinha this year. I'm not doing it as a collective. Stank.
To be fair, if it was dribbles completed, I would have been able to know that Garnacho's the lowest one. I saw dribbles. I was like, wait, I'm thinking complete. I was like, yeah, it can't be him.
Yeah, I hear
he
you.
has the worst percentage in the league.
I hear you on that. Don looks at both and picks which one he likes more. Frimpong officially done at Liverpool. Yeah, we've seen that deal come through. Congrats on the cow pasture cup, Don. Is what it says here. Can I ask you a question? All the Chelsea fans said this on the show afterwards. They said really happy to win it, but never want to be in it again.
Of course not.
And then they all said that they'd still rather have had Arsenal's Champions League season over winning this trophy. Do you agree with that?
Broski, we didn't qualify for the Champions League, so I'd rather a trophy than get into a semi-final. I've actually seen my club win the Champions League. Why the fuck don't I just get to the semi-final and that's it? Fuck off home. No, we've got another European trophy, bro. We move.
Okay, just asking you the same as they said. What do you mean? Wasn't Cole and Jackson the best duo? Oh yeah, you did say that, didn't you?
Yeah, there was last season and the start of this season, but Jackson fell off. He fell off a cliff, man. And Palmer hasn't been as clinical.
Look, I want to thank everyone who's tuned into the show today. Brilliant show. Loved every single minute of it. Great debates, great arguments, good talk. And of course, you, the viewers, you're so generous. You're so amazing to this platform. You really, really are. Boys, always a pleasure to sit here on a Friday afternoon and speak footy. We're back tomorrow. Bit of transfer news. We didn't even get to speak about the Champions League final, but you, the viewer, dictate the conversation.
Predictions.
Then. I'm going hopefully with PSG winning. Hopefully.
PSG 2-1. Me ain't saying it in the group in the thing, bro. Just Google it, man. Best duel or something like that. Google it will come up. You'll see.
Give us your prediction, man. Don't worry about Amina right now.
Wait, what's the final? Is it this weekend?
Tomorrow.
The way this season's gone, PSG. Yeah, I'm going to say PSG. What are you saying, Don?
Let me give it to the young Dons, man. Yeah,
PSG 2-1. Yeah. Woody Judge Mo will be there for your funeral.
PSG, man. PSG. You know what? I need them. I need them to do this because Kylian wants to go to Real Madrid to go win it. So that'll be beautiful. That'll be a beautiful story.
It would mean that Kylian went to the team that won it last year, and now they didn't win it. And then when he left the team that didn't win it, now won it.
Exactly.
That's great for his legacy. Oh my God, I'm eating with that agenda for years, bro. Yeah, please.
Terry, what's your prediction?
I'm going 2-0 PSG.
2-0. Okay.
Hopefully. Can't have a team get onto 4 Champions Leagues. It needed to be PSG based on what's going on. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Look after yourselves. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.